The nation continues to celebrate the Platinum Jubilee today as a service of thanksgiving takes place at St Paul's Cathedral, whilst the Queen remains at Windsor Castle.
Good morning to you. It is 6 o'clock on Friday, the 3rd of June. It's, of course, a Jubilee Bank Holiday weekend. This is Breakfast on GB News with Stephen and Anne.
We are, of course, the People's Channel, live across the whole of the UK, on your TV and your radio and online. Here's what you're waking up to today.
Well, the Queen has pulled out of attending a special service of Thanksgiving at St Paul's after experiencing discomfort while watching yesterday's parade at Buckingham Palace.
Later in the show, we're going to speak to the soldiers who've released this special tribute single for the Jubilee, entitled Her Majesty the Queen.
Always there by our nation's side, always there like a loyal friend.
Well, elsewhere, and today marks 100 days since the start of the war in Ukraine. It was the 24th of February that Vladimir Putin announced he'd launched that special military operation to demilitarize and denazify Ukraine. International condemnation from the West followed. The UN said there have been nearly 8,000 civilian casualties since the war started.
Now, we'd love to know what you think of everything, really, particularly yesterday. What was your favourite bit? GB Views at gbnews.uk.
Now, what a day it was yesterday, I have to say.
Well, you had a ringside seat, didn't you?
It was amazing. Do you know what? What a great position we had, so close to the palace, and it was lovely just to see the build-up and feel the excitement building there and the beautiful weather. And
it was a bit like what we've got behind us now, behind you. I mean, it was just all royal regalia and the palace and everything. It looked spectacular.
Lovely.
And wasn't the weather kind?
The weather was very kind. But what about your favourite bit of the day? What did you like? Because you did stay up late.
Yeah, I stayed up late to watch the lighting of the beacons, which is a bit silly, really, because at the end of the day, I thought, no, I want to watch the Queen. And the Queen did come out and she sort of pressed that little button that set everything off. And that was lovely. But and I'm glad I stayed up for it, really, I suppose, that she looked a bit confused as to what she was meant to do with that orb that was being presented to her in the grounds of Windsor Castle. And they put it down in front of her, and then, obviously, she'd been told, just put your hand on it, that'll be enough. She put her hand on it, and then all of the lights lit up all the way to Buckingham Palace. And that tree of trees...
Yes.
...displayed actually did look magnificent in the twilight. It really did look wonderful. So everything has just gone so well so far. It's been spectacular. And I think there were so many people in the crowd, well, you must have heard them behind you, sort of just saying, what a lovely day to be proud to be British.
Well, that's the nice thing, I think. I was saying on air yesterday that there has been this... I mean, perhaps more with being English than British, but sometimes some people have in the past almost been a bit embarrassed to be English or British.
Oh, yes.
And you just think, why should we? Why can't we be proud to be British? And I've always felt proud to be British.
Yeah, but there were people in the mall from Canada, from all over the Commonwealth countries who'd come specially to see this. So I don't think, I think we can use the word British without being uncomfortable about that too. So can Scots, so can the Welsh, so can the Cornish, the Irish. Anyone, I think, it was a day to be very proud of that particular amazing woman who's been with us all our lives.
Yeah. Quite remarkable. Have to say, for me, it's Fly Past.
Oh, yes.
Fly Past, I thought it was spectacular.
I tell you what, it was so exciting because various different members of my family were WhatsApping to each other saying, we've just had a whole load of Chinooks fly over. They must be making their way towards Buckingham Palace. Yeah. And then somebody else saying, yeah, and we've got a load of, tornadoes, going round and round in circles. They must be in a holding pattern until the fly past. And there they are.
Well. Beautiful.
Spelling out the numbers 7 and 0.
And there is
brilliantly done.
I mean, honestly, the
those
skill
tornadoes?
They're tornadoes.
They're tornadoes,
yeah.
I thought they were, yeah.
But then I don't know what it is about the red arrows. There's just something about the red arrows when they go past.
Well, they just do it with such oomph.
And the colours fly out the back.
I tell you what, before the red arrows, though, watching the Lancaster bomber and the Spitfires go past as well, I was just... Oh, there's something very special about them. But of course, the Red Arrows do it in such fine form. You can't help but be proud of them.
Oh, it's fantastic.
Yeah.
I know a couple of the fellas flying them.
Do you?
I do, weirdly enough.
Oh, well, they did well.
Because they're Hawk T1s,
They
the
are.
Red Arrows. And they're amazing little aircraft. I've been in one.
Yes, they're trainer aircraft, actually, the Hawk, aren't they?
Yeah.
And that's why they're so flexible and, I don't know, do amazing things.
Incredible things, and incredible skill of those RAF pilots in those. Absolutely phenomenal. But anyway, let us know what you enjoyed. That's what we liked. What did you enjoy the most? We'd love to hear from you. Now, we're throwing a special email at you today, just to add to the confusion. If you want to talk about Jubilee, you can email jubilee@gbnews.uk.
Particularly if you've got anything to show us.
Yes.
You know, if you've got any lovely little bits of Jubilee, previous Jubilee knickknacks or photographs of yourself, maybe, we'd love to see them. And that's the email to use then. It's jubilee@gbnews.uk.
Yeah, though you can, of course...
But just for your views on anything, your favourite bit yesterday, just get in touch as usual, gbviews@gbnews.uk.
Yeah, we'll find it wherever you send it,
Yeah.
to be perfectly honest.
Absolutely lovely.
Well, it was a truly special day of celebrations yesterday. Buckingham Palace has confirmed the Queen, though, will miss the service at St Paul's today after experiencing some discomfort while watching yesterday's events.
She's probably got a crick in the neck after looking up so much,
Probably,
actually, fly past. Anyway, apparently the palace said the Queen greatly enjoyed today's birthday parade and fly past, but did experience some discomfort, taking into account the journey and activity required to participate in tomorrow's national service of Thanksgiving at St Paul's Cathedral. Her Majesty, with great reluctance, has concluded that she will not attend.
Now, in spite of those health issues, Her Majesty was able to take part, as we were saying, in the beacon lighting ceremony last night, beginning the tradition of the public setting alight smaller beacons right across the nation.
The service at St Paul's in central London will give thanks for the Queen's 7 decades as monarch, with the Prince of Wales, the Duchess of Cornwall, as well as the Duke and Duchess of Cambridge all attending. It's also thought that Prince Harry and Meghan will be in attendance.
Prince Andrew has not been seen at any events after the palace said he tested positive for COVID. And the Archbishop of Canterbury also missing the service after testing positive for COVID. The Archbishop of York, Stephen Cottrell, will instead take charge.
And Duncan Larkham, Royal Editor at The Sun, joins us now. Hello there, Duncan. Good morning.
Good morning, guys.
Hello.
Hi.
Did you, like me, stay up late to watch the lighting of the beacons and everything?
No, like the Queen, I'm trying to pace myself this weekend. So, I mean, what a day. Wasn't it an incredible start? And I think it feels very much like, one of my earliest memories obviously was in the 1970s with the Silver Jubilee, but this feels like the Silver Jubilee, the Golden Jubilee, and even perhaps the London Olympics in 2012, the opening ceremonies, all rolled into one fabulous weekend. So, yeah, I think things are good. And even if you're not a royalist, well, you're on a long weekend and the pubs are open the whole time.
Yeah, I mean, there is something just special. It just feels very special, doesn't it?
I mean, it does. And I mean, what I think is just so incredible, obviously, is that this is marking 70 years of her coming to the throne. She was popular back 70 years ago when she was crowned Queen. She's more popular now, 70 years on. I mean, I don't know how many politicians and prime ministers and presidents would like that kind of record, but she's a unique person, and it really feels, I think, that this is a unique, as you say, proud to be British, but wonderful weekend of events.
When you've got to report on it, write about it, choose photographs, as you have for the newspaper, where do you go? Where do you start? I mean, what was your favourite moment yesterday?
Well, I mean, I think that the moment was when the Queen came out onto the balcony, because obviously for several months now, it's no secret the Queen has not been in greatest of health. And, you know, there was a sense that maybe she wouldn't be well enough to make any appearances, which would have been such a shame. So I think seeing her on the balcony was special. But I'm looking forward to, I remember the Golden Jubilee with Brian May standing on Buckingham Palace roof playing the national anthem. hopefully we've got that to come. I think the concert's going to be a highlight. But, I mean, take your pick, the big lunch, when everyone will come together and have street parties on Sunday. You know, there's just... It's like a smorgasbord of royal events. And, I mean, hopefully it's not going to pour with rain for the rest of the weekend.
Well, no, I think it might do.
You better
sadly,
cross your fingers there.
We shall see. What did you make? We were just looking at those pictures from the balcony. What did you make of Prince Louis?
Yeah, stole the show. Listen, I'll be honest with you. I'm probably crazy even saying this on air, but as somebody that's written about Prince Harry and Prince William many years, you think, uh-oh, we've got Prince George and we've got the heir to the spare for future with Louis. So, but no, I mean, I'm teasing, but what fun. You know, this emphasises the family aspect of the Queen. I mean, look at those images. You know, the Queen is the nation's grandmother, but at the heart of it, she's also part of a very loving family, going to great and great-grandchildren.
Do you think they know what they're doing when they placed Prince Louis next to the Queen? Because there, encapsulated in a very close-up photograph, is 4 generations of monarchy, and the oldest and the youngest royal on that balcony together, and really interacting with each other and being very funny, giving us some really sort of quite ordinary family moments. Do you think they know what they're doing when they put him next to the Queen?
I think they do. I mean, let's be honest, it's not the first time we've seen the sort of youngsters on the balcony steal the show. If you remember back to when William and Kate got married, you know, there's one of the children with their hands over their ears or their face. You know, it steals the show, but it shows the continuity, of course. You know, will Prince George and Prince Louis one day, in 70 years' time, be standing on the balcony still as royals? You know, there are question marks, I think, about what will happen once the Queen is no longer here, because she is so adored, because she has done such a unique and fantastic thing. So, yeah, the continuity, it's no accident. Let's be honest. I think we'll see a lot more of sort of focus being on the Queen, on Prince Charles, Prince William and George. Keep that continuity, which is quite nice for her at the end of the reign. I mean, she's not going to be there for many more years, but what a legacy she has, you know.
I mean, the fact, it's interesting, just as you were saying it there, I thought there can't be that many times in history for a monarch who's so old, but to be able to see the next in line and the second and the third, all lined up,
yeah,
all together, it does give us a sense of continuity, for the next 100+ years.
Well, exactly, and I think, you know, the way we've seen perhaps, say, William and Kate emerge in the past year or two, where they've really come out. I mean, I think this has been a coming of age for Kate in the past few years. And that will mean for the Queen that, as you say, I mean, at least the next 50 years, the royal family, the institution, as Meghan likes to call it, is in safe hands. And that will be great comfort for the Queen. I've no doubt about that.
What do you think of the ones that we didn't see? We know that Prince Andrew wasn't really going to be involved on the balcony scene, but he couldn't be around because he's tested positive for COVID. And also, Harry and Meghan did appear to keep a very, very low profile. There were 1 or 2 snaps that managed to be caught of them, but they were in the shadows, as it were, watching the trooping of the colour and everything. Do you think that will continue to be the case, or we might see more of them today?
Well, I think we probably will see more of them today, because we are expecting them, as you say, to turn up for the service at St Paul's. And I mean, they can't stay hidden away all weekend when they're here. But no, I think it shows that there has been a compromise. I mean, the Queen clearly wanted Harry to be here for this weekend. I've no doubt that that's probably one of the major sources of their conversation when they met just before Harry made a sort of flying visit with Meghan to the Queen before she did the Invictus Games earlier this year. It is a compromise. I think you could see it as an olive branch, if you like, from the Queen. She doesn't want her grandson that she's so fond of being in exile, being forced to stay away and leave a sour taste in everybody's mouth. But at the same time, the Queen knows that there are actually those who really are angry with what Harry and Meghan have done and how they've behaved. Things like Oprah and some of the social media attacks. And of course, cashing in. I mean, let's be honest now, this is the first time we've seen Harry and Meghan at an official royal engagement today. The last time they did it was at Westminster Abbey, just before they left for pastures new. The difference is they're doing pretty much the same thing, but they're doing it for tens of millions of pounds. And I think there's awkward discussions to be had about selling the family silver, but quite clearly what's going on is that's not relevant now. It's the Jubilee. The Queen wanted them over here, but they are, in return at the moment, deliberately staying sort of low profile, supporting but not stealing the limelight.
No, quite right too. Look, Duncan, it's really good to talk to you this morning. Thank you very much indeed. Enjoy the rest of this lovely bank holiday weekend, whatever the weather.
And you, thank you very much.
Yeah, the weather's going to be good today, I think, but if you look at the forecast for Saturday and Sunday, it's not so good.
We're meant to be at a street
Meant to be at a
party on
street
Sunday.
party. Yeah, I know. If you're planning a street party, are you seriously thinking about what to do, whether to move it indoors maybe, if there's any way you can, into a village hall or a community centre or something, or just to brave it out like the true Brits we are and do it under umbrellas?
I don't know.
I don't know. Soggy sandwiches don't taste so good, do they?
No. We'll have to see what happens to us on Sunday.
Yeah.
We'll keep you up to date with that. It is 6:16.
Wellies and a brolly. Do we have GB News brollies?
I don't know.
I don't know. We should. I think we have.
Oh, well.
I think we might have to get them out.
surrounded by those then. Anyway, let's bring you up to date with the headlines. And as we've been reporting, the Queen will not attend today's national service of Thanksgiving at St Paul's Cathedral. Buckingham Palace says although Her Majesty greatly enjoyed watching the fly past from the balcony yesterday, she was in some discomfort. The Queen managed to light the first beacon yesterday evening, but has reluctantly decided to rest today.
The US President Joe Biden has urged Congress to ban assault weapons and implement background checks in the wake of yet another mass shooting, this time in Tulsa, Oklahoma. The suspect, named as Michael Lewis, opened fire at a hospital, killing 4 people, including 2 doctors. Several others were injured, and he also killed himself and left a letter at the scene.
The government's launching a consultation which would give traders more freedom to use imperial measurements. The Department for Business, Energy and Industrial Strategy says a review of overbearing EU rules will restore common sense to the statute book.
And today marks 100 days since the start of the war in Ukraine. President Zelensky says his forces have had some success fighting Russians in the eastern city of Severodonetsk. But the governor of Ukraine's eastern Luhansk region says the number of weapons provided by the West are not enough.
The actress Amber Heard plans to appeal the decision that she defamed her ex-husband Johnny Depp. One of her attorneys says Heard has excellent grounds for the appeal, adding there was so much evidence that was not included during the trial. A jury awarded Depp $10 million in damages.
Well, do stay with us and remember to get in touch, GBViews at gbnews.uk, with your favourite bit of yesterday. But we've got plenty more to come, including our reporter Jeff Moody is out and about. Will he be on your doorstep perhaps this morning? That would be a shock, wouldn't it?
Let's have a look at the weather for you. In the UK, it's looking showery across Northern Ireland, southwest Scotland, northwest England and North Wales this morning, but generally brighter elsewhere. Let's have a look at the details then.
By noon, much of the southwest of England will hold on to dry weather, although Cornwall and West Devon will have the best of the sunshine.
The southeast will also be generally fine. There'll be some warm spells of hazy sunshine, lifting temperatures into the low 20s.
Whilst showers continue to affect northern parts of Wales, more southern areas should end the morning mostly dry, albeit with a fair amount of cloud around.
Now, the Midlands will see quite a bit of cloud and there'll be an increasing chance 1 or 2 showers breaking out. Nonetheless, it's going to stay fairly warm.
Inland parts of the northeast England will also have a few showers, and although it'll be drier and locally brighter towards the coast, there'll be a cool breeze blowing in off the North Sea.
Let's head into Scotland for you. In the far east and northeast will be rather cloudy and cool, whilst southwestern areas have some showers. For central and northwestern areas, though, it's looking fine, with some warm sunshine.
A few bright spells are likely across Northern Ireland, but there'll also be a scattering of showers, giving a rather changeable theme to the weather here.
So during the afternoon and early evening, showers will continue in the west. Elsewhere, mainly dry with some sunshine. That's how your weather's shaping up today.
We are GB News.
We're right across this great nation.
On TV,
on radio, on digital.
Absolutely everywhere.
We don't talk down to you.
We embrace all voices.
With honest and civilised conversation.
We're not part of the establishment.
We're one of you.
And we're only getting started.
Join us on GB News,
the People's Channel.
Britain's news channel.
every morning from 6 o'clock, we'll wake you up with GB News Breakfast with all the stories you didn't know from the night before.
So whether it's serious news, entertainment, or your own views from all over our great nation, we're here to kick off your day with a smile.
And the national media should be reflecting and reporting what's happening here.
You will notice the northwestern accents.
Whether you're with us on TV, radio, or online, every morning, it's breakfast from 6 a.m. Hope you can join us.
Join us for Ministry of Offence, the comedy panel show that's just like the news, in that the left fights the right and it doesn't really seem to matter who wins. We cover the big stories. It was in fact a troop of baboons and not angry vegans.
I like that.
And the really important stories.
Fat naked cow gets stuck in swimming pool.
It's a headline in a lot of local newspapers. Yeah.
We're on the same team, Nick. Yeah, but I'm just helping you.
Join us for Ministry of Offence, Saturday nights, 8 o'clock on GB News.
I'm Dan Wootton. Join me Monday to Thursday from 9 to 11 for the feistiest and most fun news debate on TV, where free speech reigns. I'll bring you a sharp take on the day's biggest stories, bombshell newsmaker interviews, and A-list guests. And I guarantee you, no spin, no bias, no censorship, and no reason to go to bed. That's Dan Wootton tonight, Monday to Thursdays from 9 on GB News.
Hello again, welcome back. You're watching and listening to Breakfast with Stephen and Anne. We're live across the UK on both your TV and your radio. And I think it's around 6:23, very nearly.
Very nearly.
Very nearly, if I just hold on there a bit more. I can give it you exactly.
There you go.
6:23, good morning.
Now, as we all know, we're celebrating the Queen's Platinum Jubilee, 70 glorious years on the throne, and it's really something that is going to go down in history.
Yeah, we want to know what your favourite memories are. If you've got any pictures of yourself meeting the Queen, maybe, or somewhere in the background.
You see, you've met her, which I think is so lucky. I never have, but I do remember as a child seeing her. She came up to Cumbria, and I went to see her in Urswick, which is a tiny little village. And I remember just seeing it, and she had like a bright green outfit on in the distance.
Yeah.
And that's all I saw.
But that's thrilling,
It was nice to see.
Yeah. I've been at do's where, I mean, particularly actually at Windsor, where she turns up, and the minute somebody spots her, she says, "Oh, look!" And she's always in bright colours nowadays. She's learned that, obviously, very early on, that she can be spotted. A buzz goes through the crowd. Everybody gets so excited. And it's very difficult to tell why. I mean, I was watching some of the scenes yesterday, and I thought, why are we so excited about the Queen? Why are we still so excited about monarchy? Well, let's face it, it's an absolutely ancient institution, and maybe we should have gotten rid of it years and years ago, you know, because after all, you're celebrating a family who were just born to it. They didn't earn that position. They were just sort of born. Well, I was going to say born lucky. A lot of people would actually consider it maybe not lucky. But you know, we're just celebrating an ordinary family up there, except that they are extraordinary because they are very, very rich and very, very privileged. And so why do we feel empathy with them? I don't
know. There's something straight. But then you look at the Queen, and yes, very fortunate in some respects, and with the money and all the rest of it. But she's 96 and still working.
Yes.
70 years of doing that job and working her socks off.
And when you think of it, there must have been days, you know, right through her whole 7 years on the throne, there must have been days when she woke up and thought, oh, no, I've got to go and cut a ribbon there, and then I've got to get on a train and got to go and meet all these people, and then, and there must be days where she thought, I don't want to do this.
Yeah. Must have been, but she serves the country, doesn't she? I mean, she's a servant of the country, and that's the bottom line with all this. Maybe that's why we love her so much.
Do you think? I mean, Prince Harry said in that interview, didn't he, that he felt that being born into the royal family was a bit of a, I can't remember what the word he used was. It was like being trapped. And to a certain extent, it must be like that. But then I suppose we're all trapped in our own lives, aren't we? And you make the best of it.
Yeah. So most of us are in that very,
There's
very,
payoff,
very
isn't
public
it?
position.
They're incredibly rich. They've got people waiting on them hand and foot. They don't have to worry about money and things like that ever. But the payoff for that is that they are meant to serve us. And they do.
Interesting, isn't it? But we do love them. That's the bottom line. Well, let's talk to someone who's got his own very precious memories. It's GB News viewer George Newell. Good to see you this morning, George.
Hello, George. Hi.
What are your memories of Her Majesty?
Well, I mean, I don't particularly have any memories of her as such, but the reason I was here is because I had a great uncle who was went through the ranks at Manchester City Council from being a Labour councillor to the mayor, to the Lord Lieutenant, and eventually he was knighted for his services. And back then, I mean, they were the staunch sort of old-type Labourites, and his wife, Enid, definitely was not her bag to go to the palace. So my mother went with Bill, Uncle Bill as we call him, for the investiture at the palace, where he was knighted Sir William Downward. And so that's quite a thing, really, for our family to have that memory.
Do you remember what he said about being knighted, that moment?
Well, we obviously, to us, he was just Uncle Bill, an ordinary, regular guy. And we used to see him from time, not that often, because obviously he was in Manchester, we were in the south of London. But it never really came up. We went to see him and Enid, my wife and I, when they were in their dotage, thought, well, we'll do a bit of round trip, see some relatives before they, pop off. And they were such a regular couple. I mean, she was, she was Lady Downward, and you'd be at the tablecloth and it was all frayed, and she's got all this brand new tablecloths and stuff in the cupboard, and she said, I'm saving those for new. For best, and she's like in her 90s, and so there's this cupboard full of brand new stuff, and she would answer the door in her dressing gown and slippers. There was no airs and graces at all.
In fact, you've got a photograph.
Very fun in this.
You still have a photograph of which you're rather proud.
Yes. Well, you've had,
you sent it to us. Should we have a look?
That's Bill, Uncle Bill. Yes, Sir William. I didn't actually have a photograph of him with my mother at the palace, but what I do have, if I could just say that my, if you say, association with royalty went back to the day I was born, because I was born in 1943 on the Isle of Man, Ramsey on the Isle of Man, and they'd opened a maternity home. And they were going to give an award for the 100th baby born. Well, as it happens, it happened to be me, and I was awarded a silver cup. And
that's
it was
lovely.
presented to me by the eldest sister of the Queen Mother.
Yes.
Rose Leveson Gower, Countess Granville was her title, Countess Granville. So I had a silver cup, which I've still got 78 years later, presented to me from an aunt of the current Queen.
Oh, that's nice, isn't it? I mean, look, we were saying just before we came to you that, why do we have this affinity particularly with the Queen? She's, in a way, her life is so far removed from our ordinary lives. But why do you think we have such affection for her?
It's difficult to say, but the current Queen, and I get really annoyed at those people who say, oh, they've got all this and they've got all that and they can do this and they can do that. And as you said earlier, they've got the fame and they've got the money. But they can't just go and do what you and I can do. You know, you Stephen, could just go down to McDonald's. Not that you would, because you don't eat meat, but you could just go and buy a sports car and troll around if you wanted to, and they can't do that. And the Queen has been, well, I mean, I think she's obviously an exception. She's served for 70 years, and nobody will ever do that again. So it's, you know, she's a bit sort of Marmite, I suppose. You've got the people who just hate royalty per se and want them gone, and the royalists. And I'm a royalist. I mean, we haven't done anything special this weekend because we've got a family visit from one of my nieces, which was supposed to happen 3 years ago. So this weekend is rather special for us because it's the first family visit for 3 years.
I know. I mean, obviously, you're joining us from Alicante at the moment, aren't you? What are you doing out there?
Near Alicante, Penoso it is.
Oh, how lovely. I'll bet it is lovely. Was there anything said on Spanish television or radio about the Jubilee?
Well, we actually only seem to watch like GB News. And
that's all right.
Because my niece is here with her daughter and her husband. They came on Wednesday, and we haven't watched telly at all because they're only here for 3 days. And
yes,
you know, I mean, it's a beautiful sunshine, the swimming pool. So you just want to be out in that. And so I'm sorry to have missed you guys and all the presentations, right? But you know,
no, you've got to make the most of family.
The Spanish do like royalty. They've got their own, haven't they? So
yes, that's right. Yeah.
But what's not to like? I mean, she's been a brilliant, and I remember seeing a programme when she was hosting, you know, the heads of the Commonwealth on when she had her yacht, and she knows everybody. Most of the Commonwealth leaders don't know each other because they're only elected for, you know, a short period of time, and she could smooth over the troubled waters if there was an argument between one or the other, and so she's been a really good ambassador, I think.
Yeah, no, I would agree. I would agree. Look, George, it's really good to talk to you this morning. Would you mind if we came and presented the show from your pool one of these weekends?
Yes, please. That would be nice.
Stephen, you might remember I sent you a Mexican silver dollar a few years ago.
You did.
And I think I might have invited you then, but if you and any of the presenters want to come over here, it's not a problem.
Oh, you're on. That sounds really good.
I'm afraid you've said it on TV now, George.
Yes, we'll hold you to it.
Look, it's really good to talk to you.
You've actually come into my house, so that's quite good.
Absolutely.
All right. Well, look, enjoy what time you've got left with your niece. I hope it's been a nice family visit.
Yeah, will do.
Yeah, absolutely.
Right,
and in a way, that's what a lot of people are saying that the Jubilee is about, or at least the Queen has wanted to stress that it's about family. And it's about keeping close, and that's what she's doing, and you know, that's what George is doing, and it's lovely to do. Yeah, absolutely. It's interesting that we were talking about how and he was saying it'll never happen again. It won't ever happen again because of the extraordinary way she inherited the throne at such a young age, and is so long-lived herself. But if you look at what's going to happen down the line, there's no way we're going to see that again.
No.
And yet, and that's why, you know, she's been that stability for so long. And yet in 1936, we had 3 kings in 1 year.
Is it 3?
Yeah. We had the first King George V who died.
Oh, yes.
And then
Edward
VII, and then George VI in 1 year. Isn't that amazing? It must have been a very different feeling then. And then for the next 70 years to have Elizabeth II.
Yeah.
I know, isn't it
An
amazing?
Elizabethan age.
Yeah, it is history in the making, whether you're a royalist or not. Certainly history, isn't it?
I'm a royalist, I've got to say. Unashamedly so. Anyway, look, stay with us. We've got plenty more to come this morning, including from something jolly to something not so jolly, the travel chaos that's going on. Plus, we will have a look at those Jubilee pictures on the front of the newspapers for you.
We are GB News.
We're right across this great nation.
On TV,
on radio, on digital.
Absolutely everywhere.
We don't talk down to you.
We embrace all voices.
With honest and civilised conversation.
We're not part of the establishment.
We're one of you.
And we're only getting started.
Join us on GB News,
the People's Channel,
Britain's news channel.
Every morning from 6 o'clock, we'll wake you up with GB News Breakfast with all the stories you didn't know from the night before.
So whether it's serious news, entertainment, or your own views from all over our great nation, we're here to kick off your day with a smile.
The national media should be reflecting and reporting what's happening here.
You will notice the northwestern accents.
Whether you're with us on TV, radio, or online, every morning, it's breakfast from 6 a.m. Hope you can join us.
Join us for Ministry of Offence, the comedy panel show that's just like the news, in that the left fights the right and it doesn't really seem to matter who wins. We cover the big stories. It was in fact a troop of baboons and not angry vegans.
I like that.
And the really important stories.
Fat naked cow gets stuck in swimming pool.
It's a headline in a lot of local newspapers. Yeah.
We're on the same team, Nick. Yeah, but I'm just helping you.
Join us for Ministry of Offence, Saturday nights, 8 o'clock on GB News.
I'm Dan Wootton. Join me Monday to Thursday from 9 to 11 for the feistiest and most fun news debate on TV, where free speech reigns. I'll bring you a sharp take on the day's biggest stories, bombshell newsmaker interviews, and A-list guests. And I guarantee you, no spin, no bias, no censorship, and no reason to go to bed. That's Dan Wootton tonight, Monday to Thursdays from 9 on GB News.
It is 6:36. Hello. Whether you're watching us on TV, online, or listening to us on the radio, it's really good to have you with us this Bank Holiday Friday.
Yeah, and don't... yes, it is a bank holiday, isn't it?
Yes, yeah.
And don't forget to get in touch, because it's gbviews@gbnews.uk. Julie says, hi, Stephen and Anne. Love the anthem and pictures at the start.
Lovely,
they're really
isn't it?
cool, aren't they? Congrats. She says, I loved watching the Queen yesterday, especially the fly past. Wonderful. My mum is the same age as Her Majesty and lives with us. We enjoyed it all. We live in beautiful Cornwall and have the flags and bunting out. Love to all at GB News.
Oh, lovely. I bet that looks lovely.
Oh, somebody put bunting outside my house, all along the street. I don't know who did it yet, but thank you, whoever did it was, because it looks really fabulous.
Duncan's been in touch. Now, this is an interesting one, Duncan. He says, I've been watching some of the other channels whilst waiting for us to start. Fair enough, I guess. Some are running down the monarchy and the Jubilee. Why can't they just give us one day to be proud of our country? I think that's the thing. Yeah. Why can't we be proud of our country? Some people are almost embarrassed to be proud of our country.
Well, Simon says, my favourite is always the fly past. Just gave me that warm, fuzzy feeling. 100% proud to be British.
Yeah, and Alan's been using the app. Morning, Alan says, we watched the ceremony and all the processions yesterday on your app from Parja in Greece.
I bet that's hot at the moment.
Oh, I bet that is hot.
We're going to have a good day today, I think.
You'd have to miss a trick, because we've got you covered wherever in the world you are, actually, or whether you're leaving the house, going driving, whatever you're going to do. Radio, app, TV, it's all there.
Yeah, get in touch with your views, because that's what we're about.
Let's take you through the papers this morning. Start with the Times. A beaming Queen gets her party started as the first day of the Jubilee celebrations began yesterday.
The Express says, incredible, showing an image of the Mall packed with crowds. Unbelievable photograph, that.
The Mirror says, wow, what a racket, Great Granny. It's that lovely shot of Prince Louis covering his ears as the flypast took place.
The Eye calls her the history maker as she becomes the first British monarch to mark 70 years on the throne.
Nutcases, says the Star. There is a picture of Her Majesty the Queen out there with the red arrows, we should point out.
Yeah.
But it's looking at travel chaos for holidaymakers. Airports are urging travellers just to take cabin bags if they want to avoid long delays.
Which I think is a good idea. The Guardian is reporting that the waiting lists for gynecology treatments have risen to over 500,000. It says doctors' routine dismissal of women's debilitating conditions causes problems elsewhere in the NHS.
And the Financial Times says major oil-producing nations have agreed to increase production over the summer to slow the rising cost of energy.
And the Ukrainians look to the long fight ahead after 100 days now of brutal, bloody combat, reports The Independent. The beleaguered nation has long exceeded expectations and is forcing Russia to pay dearly at every step.
Well, let's go through some of those papers now. Joining us now is Benjamin Butterworth from the I newspaper and the journalist Nabila Ramdani. Good to see you both this morning.
Actually, it's not just both, because that shot there showed Benjamin
with the Queen.
With the Queen in the background.
Yeah.
How do you know which is which?
Oh, dear. She's lurking over your shoulder.
Yeah. Let's start with the Times, Nabila, should we? And, I mean, some beautiful pictures of Her Majesty yesterday.
Well, absolutely. The Beaming Queen is really a fitting title, as Her Majesty absolutely launched the beginning of a four-day platinum Jubilee of celebrations across the nation. And indeed, a lot of foreigners keeping a very close eye on the events and enjoying every bit of it. And we learn in the Times that she's actually made appearances on the balcony since she was 13 months old.
That's right.
95 years ago.
Apparently, she was first presented on the balcony when she was 13 months old. So
That's
she's pretty used to it.
She's pretty used to it, and she's enjoying it, clearly. I mean, unsurprisingly, you look at all the papers today, and, you know, there's absolutely, you know, they're full on of royal coverage. And so it should be. You know, I have to say that a lot of the time, you know, that people criticise the British press for all kinds of things, but there's no denying that it provides a fantastic public service when it comes to covering historical events like this. And, you know, we say about newspapers, they're often the first draft of history. And we have all the excitement here of what was a remarkable day of launching a marathon weekend of celebrations. And, you know, I was listening to your conversations earlier about you know, why is the British Crown so important? And, you know, in the end, we're talking about privileged family. But I think there's a great sense of history attached to the Crown. It's very much part and parcel of, you know, British history and indeed British tradition. I mean, the Queen is a massive chunk. She personifies a massive chunk of British history. And the institution of the Crown, in many ways, defines the British state and indeed the working of the British state. So it's a very delicate balance between, you know, the Crown, which is a huge part of British history. It effectively bounds the past with democratic values. And I think all the basic formalities, the bowing, the respect, the pageantry, are fundamental to bind it all together.
I don't know, I find it quite difficult to justify that. I mean, if she walked in here now, would you curtsy?
Oh
yeah, absolutely.
I'd
absolutely.
bow.
At the most basic level, out of respect.
Would you curtsy or bow?
I would. Look, I can't claim that I don't find it, you know, a little odd. You know, in the rest of our life, the idea of bowing or curtsying to another person, especially simply because of where they were born, would seem incredibly strange. But for the fact of what it means about the country and the sense of history and the sense of identity that it gives you, that's why I love it. You know, there'd be 1,001 different things we could discuss this morning where we'd all disagree. And yet this is the one thing where the vast majority of the country just looks to the Queen, looks to these pomp and ceremony like we saw yesterday.
Yes, but I'm not sure they know why. Or there were all those people in the Mall yesterday saying, oh, isn't she wonderful? Isn't it brilliant? I'd do anything to be here. And you just think, why?
I know what you're getting at, but it isn't just the fact it makes us smile enough. You know, if you were designing a country from scratch, if I were anyway, I wouldn't put a monarchy in place. But given we've got one and given the joy that it brings, and I was thinking about it yesterday, you know, I've written a story for today's I newspaper that there's 70,000 street parties happening over this weekend. 10 million people will go to an event. A lot of those people will be the elderly. There'll be people that live alone. You know, events like this are pretty much unique in reaching so many people that actually often get forgotten. You know, it really is a reminder of the community spirit. And I think for that alone, that's a good enough reason.
Yes, and also, you know, just listening to messages from world leaders who, you know, have
the Pope, the President of the United States.
From great republics,
Emmanuel
from
Macron,
America,
everybody
from France.
did it, didn't they?
So, you know, people absolutely adore that sense of pomp and circumstance, which, it has to be said, the British do superbly. And people, you know, came in their thousands on the Mall to watch the British Army parade, to watch all that, you know, beautiful
Benjamin,
display
you've done the Mall thing, haven't you?
Yes, at the Diamond Jubilee. I mean, I was there when I was 18. I was at Parliament Square for William and Catherine's wedding, and then at the Diamond Jubilee, I was on the Mall, and I was walking at the very front as you go up.
You know, as the police let people walk
Precisely.
down. Yeah.
And then I was sort of face pressed against the the railings, the gates of Buckingham Palace for the wave. And you know, I'm so glad I did it because it's an extraordinary experience, and just the sense of joy. And also, it's not just British people when you're in there. You have people from the whole world that turn up to be a part of that moment. And, you know, I've got a little selfie of me against the railings with the royals in the background. And
Have you? You should have brought it.
It's somewhere on my Instagram, but I think that's a photo that I'll treasure forever.
Well, before you come on in an hour's time, you must find it for us.
Dig it out.
Yeah. Tell us about Prince Louis, because you picked him out from the front page of the Mail.
Indeed. I mean, I'm sure we've all seen the photos by now. Now, Louis is 4 years old, so, you know, as someone who's raised a couple of boys, you know that they're pretty hard to control at 4 years old,
yes,
I dare say.
They could do anything to let you down, couldn't they?
Yeah, even the Queen couldn't control Prince Louis. But, yeah, those pictures of him with his hands over his eyes, he's like the little cheeky monkey emoji, right, in real living form. They're on the front pages of lots of the papers. And you were mentioning earlier about how it's probably not a coincidence they put the youngest and the eldest together. In fact, I was watching a photographer about when, I think it was William or Harry being born, and how he was sat on the knee of the Queen Mother, because they always like to have the oldest and the youngest together, because, you know, it shows the lineage of the family. But I think that's one of the things that really charms the country, right? Because, you know, you see through the pomp, in a sense, and see the real family.
And, well, you saw a real relationship between the Queen.
It was really beautiful to see how he related so well with his great-grandmother, and also that he was allowed to be himself. You know, that was very beautiful to watch, and he was really amusing. He was already a bit of a character.
Yeah. But, you know, I mean, I feel for him, because I was just off the Mall. I was at home in my flat, which is around the corner, and the roar of the planes overhead was incredible. It was so loud. So, you know, I can understand why a 4-year-old is pretty intimidating.
But I have to get used to that sailor suit he was wearing will be sold out.
Well, there are lots of pictures. It's identical to the sailor suit that his father wore at the same age. And there are a lot of fashionistas in the press this morning saying, I wonder if it's the same suit.
Oh, that would be interesting.
Well then. I mean, it's a very traditional thing, and it's exactly the same age, the same sort of size. So maybe it's his dad's old sailor suit.
Oh, that would be nice, in a way. Look, the disturbing story in the Mail, Nabila, they're looking at the protesters on the Mail yesterday who made a bit of a scene. They're asking, how did this manage to happen?
Yes.
But, I mean, my question with this last night when we were talking about it at home was, I mean, what do these people think they're doing? Because under these circumstances, they were very likely to have been shot dead by doing this.
Yes, it was, in fact, animal rights protesters who managed to get through the police cordon. They jumped over the barriers and got into the path of the military band as well, which I thought was a bit sad to disrupt the band, to be honest.
There was one bandsman, though, who actually just trod over him.
Yeah.
He just kept going. I don't know what he was playing, but he just went on going. They're clearly so well trained. He just kept on going. He stepped over this guy lying on the.
But you're quite right, Stephen. You know, I mean, protest is all part of democracy, of course, but it can get very dangerous at times. And it looked like it could have been likely that a lot of people watching were pretty scared at times.
It wasn't the day for it, was it?
And, you know, as it turns out, it was, I think, something called animal rebellion, a version of Extinction Rebellion. But no one around knows that when they run out there. And, you know,
No.
Having been to some of these celebrations on the Mall myself, I've always felt really anxious. You know, it is the most incredible number of people. How do the police manage to be sure that there aren't any threats, that someone hasn't turned up, God forbid, with a gun or something?
Well, they effectively...
You know, it is a great deal of trust in the public to bring us together like that.
Yeah, definitely. They effectively oppose Crown land being used in meat and dairy farming, and indeed in hunting and fishing. And it has called on the royal family to rewild all Crown land. So that's the main
well, I think Prince Charles is doing his
like.
bit for that sort of cause anyway, isn't he?
Yeah. But I think the police handled it quite well. You know, I dare not imagine how it would have been handled in France, probably with baton charges and
well,
tear gas.
interestingly, there were beacons lit all over the place, including France. I didn't know that.
There were, and also Emmanuel Macron stood for the British national anthem, which I thought was incredible.
He did.
Yeah, there's video of it if you can hunt it out, which I thought was incredibly classy, I have to say. I think, you know...
Oh, that's a surprise, though, isn't it?
Well, he sent a lovely message, though, didn't he?
Oh, yes. He spoke of Her Majesty as the golden thread linking the two countries. And he was actually
generous,
very moving, because you hear a lot of people who, you know, they talk about the monarchy with a bit of a mocking tone, even those who actually support the monarchy. But there was a lot of sincerity in his speech, and he even lit a flame at the tomb of the unknown soldiers on the Champs-Élysées yesterday with the British ambassador to France.
We see that's what makes her the golden thread, because she did her bit in the war as well. And he was remembering that amazing camaraderie between France and Britain as allies during the war.
Absolutely. He gave Her Majesty a horse for the Platinum Jubilee called Fabulous.
Fabulous. Oh, well, there you go.
And of course, it's because Edward VIII, when he abdicated, he went off with Wallace Simpson and lived on the outskirts of Paris until their death. So, you know, it's only because of them choosing to move to France that we ended up with Queen Elizabeth II in the first place.
Yeah, so there's quite a bond there, isn't there?
Look, we need to leave it there. Nabila, Benjamin, thank you. We shall catch up with you both a little bit later on.
So let's bring you up to date with the headlines this morning. As we've been reporting, the Queen is not going to attend today's national service of Thanksgiving at St Paul's Cathedral. Buckingham Palace says, although Her Majesty greatly enjoyed watching the fly past from the balcony yesterday, she was in some discomfort. The Queen managed to light the first beacon yesterday evening, but she has reluctantly now decided to rest.
The government's launching a consultation which could give traders more freedom to use imperial measurements. The Department for Business, Energy and Industrial Strategy says a review of overbearing EU rules will restore common sense to the statute book.
And today marks 100 days since the start of the war in Ukraine. President Zelensky says his forces have had some success fighting Russians in the eastern city of Severodonetsk. But the governor of Ukraine's eastern Luhansk region says the number of weapons provided by the West are not enough.
And Amber Heard plans to appeal the decision that she defamed her ex-husband, Johnny Depp. One of her attorneys says she has excellent grounds for the appeal, adding there was so much evidence that was not included during the original trial. The jury awarded Depp $10 million in damages.
And the Ministry of Defence has been warned it could compromise national security unless it fixes or scraps its Ajax armoured vehicle programme. A parliamentary report found it was flawed from the outset. The programme, designed to build reconnaissance vehicles for the army, has been running for 12 years at a cost of £3.2 billion, but has so far failed to deliver a single deployable vehicle.
OK, it's time now for On Your Doorstep.
And our reporter Jeff Moody has travelled all the way to Launceston in Cornwall to see what people are doing to celebrate this weekend. Hello there, Jeff.
Good morning. Yes, I'm here in Launceston on a very beautiful morning. Launceston was the ancient capital of Cornwall, and nowadays they call it the gateway to Cornwall because as you come off the A30, it's the first stop that you come to. But I've actually stopped just before the centre of Launceston because I saw a sign to a distillery. I do like a distillery. It's a little bit early in the morning to be thinking about spirits, but never mind, we'll give it a go. And I thought I'd come in here and see what's what. Good morning. Hello. You're live on GB News.
Wow, OK.
Tell us your name.
I'm John Walters.
John Walters, and is this your distillery?
I'm afraid it is, yeah.
How's business going at the moment?
We're bearing up. Challenging times, but we're bearing up.
Challenging in what way for you?
I think two things. I think obviously base costs of things like energy have gone through the roof. We use a lot of energy distilling things. And also, you know, we rely on people coming by, tourism, and people are tightening their purses.
So are you finding that this cost of living crisis is affecting your sales? Because luxury high-end products like these, probably the first things to go, are they?
Well, oddly enough, they're quite preserved because people like to treat. I think what they do is try and tighten their purses everywhere else, but they go, OK, we'll have a little bit of luxury every now and again. So we're holding on, I think, and we've been less crimped than maybe others have been.
That's not so bad. So you keep on going. There's plenty of Jubilee decorations around. So are you expecting big crowds today?
I think we will, yeah. I mean, people like to get out and about. It's a glorious day. Cornwall's absolutely spectacular. And people just like to get out their four walls and just enjoy themselves, get a bit of light relief.
Absolutely. Well, I think we'll have a little light relief in a small glass, and then we're going to head into downtown Launceston to see what's what. But for now, head back to you.
Jeff, thank you very much indeed. Loads of you getting in touch, which is lovely, lovely. Sandra, morning Sandra. She says yesterday was both joyous and sad. I guess sad because we know it's coming towards the end in a way. And we're unlikely to see another Jubilee.
Yeah.
I'm so proud to be British. I've been a staunch royalist all my life. We've planned a street party, but the weather is a worry. It is. Love the People's Channel. Best wishes to you all.
Oh, that's nice. Sue says, we went along yesterday and had a fantastic family day out. I also watched the flyovers with my daughters and grandchildren. We are having a party in a park today. Changed it because of the weather tomorrow. It's a worry, isn't it? I mean, thank goodness the weather was brilliant yesterday for the kick-off of the whole Jubilee celebration. But it looks as though it's going to be a good day in most parts today. But Saturday and Sunday dodgy, and so, you know, Sunday was meant to be big street party day, wasn't it? And I think a lot of people might have to change their plans.
Yeah, we shall see. I mean, Stephen, morning Stephen, says, as a regular GB News consumer ready to pass honest comment, I congratulate you all for the Jubilee celebrations coverage and the superb Jubilee graphics. Our team
I quite agree.
Have done a very good job on those.
I was watching yesterday, and the graphics with the red arrows going up, and absolutely lovely. It's nice to see that.
Stephen today is helping prepare our church grounds for a free picnic day where flags, bunting, gazebos and music will bring the community together, which is what it's all about.
And Marilyn says, I'm watching from New Zealand. Wonderful. Really enjoyed watching the Trooping of the Colour last night. I've lived in New Zealand for 35 years, but I'm still proud to be British and Cornish.
Yes, quite right too.
Lovely.
Don't go anywhere, we've got plenty more coverage coming up, including some red-hot tips for Derby Day tomorrow. But looking ahead to the weather, and the UK is looking showery across Northern Ireland, southwest Scotland, northwest England and North Wales this morning, brighter elsewhere.
By noon, much of the southwest of England will hold on to dry weather, although Cornwall and West Devon will have the best of the sunshine with more cloud.
The southeast will be generally fine. There'll be some warm spells of hazy sunshine, lifting temperatures into the low 20s.
Whilst showers continue to affect northern parts of Wales, more southern areas should end the morning mostly dry, albeit with a fair amount of cloud around.
The Midlands will also see quite a bit of cloud. There'll be an increasing chance of 1 or 2 showers as well breaking out, I'm afraid to say. Nonetheless, it is going to stay pretty warm.
Inland parts of the northeast of England will also have a few showers, and although it will be drier and locally brighter towards the coast, there'll be a cool breeze blowing in off the North Sea.
The far east and northeast of Scotland are going to be rather cloudy and cool. Southwestern areas are going to have showers. For central and northwestern areas, though, fine with some warm sunshine.
A few bright spells are likely across Northern Ireland, but there'll also be a scattering of showers, giving a rather changeable theme to the weather there.
So during the afternoon and early evening, showers continuing in the west. Elsewhere, mainly dry with some sunshine.
We are GB News.
We're right across this great nation.
On TV,
on radio, on digital.
Absolutely everywhere.
We don't talk down to you.
We embrace all voices.
With honest and civilised conversation.
We're not part of the establishment.
We're one of you.
And we're only getting started.
Join us on GB News,
the People's Channel.
Britain's news channel.
Every morning from 6 o'clock, we'll wake you up with GB News Breakfast with all the stories you didn't know from the night before.
So whether it's serious news, entertainment, or your own views from all over our great nation, we're here to kick off your day with a smile.
And the national media should be reflecting and reporting what's happening here.
You will notice the northwestern accents.
Whether you're with us on TV, radio, or online, every morning, it's breakfast from 6 a.m. Hope you can join us.
Join us for Ministry of Offence, the comedy panel show that's just like the news, in that the left fights the right and it doesn't really seem to matter who wins. We cover the big stories. It was in fact a troop of baboons and not angry vegans.
I like that.
And the really important stories.
Fat naked cow gets stuck in swimming pool.
It's a headline in a lot of local newspapers. Yeah.
We're on the same team, Nick. Yeah, but I'm just helping you.
Join us for Ministry of Offence, Saturday nights, 8 o'clock on GB News.
I'm Dan Wootton. Join me Monday to Thursday from 9 to 11 for the feistiest and most fun news debate on TV, where free speech reigns. I'll bring you a sharp take on the day's biggest stories, bombshell newsmaker interviews, and A-list guests. And I guarantee you, no spin, no bias, no censorship, and no reason to go to bed. That's Dan Wootton Tonight, Monday to Thursdays from 9 on GB News.
The nation continues to celebrate the Platinum Jubilee today as a service of thanksgiving takes place at St Paul's Cathedral, while the Queen remains at Windsor Castle.
Very good morning to you. It is 7 o'clock on Friday, the 3rd of June. It is a Jubilee bank holiday weekend, of course. This is GB News Breakfast with Stephen and Anne.
And we are, of course, the People's Channel, live across the whole of the UK on your TV and your radio and online. So don't forget to get in touch, because that's what makes us the People's Channel, your views. gbviews@gbnews.uk. Here's what you're waking up to today.
Well, the Queen has pulled out of attending a special service of Thanksgiving at St Paul's today after experiencing discomfort while watching yesterday's parade at Buckingham Palace.
And later in the show, we're going to be speaking to the soldiers who have released this special tribute single for the Jubilee entitled Her Majesty the Queen.
Always there by our nation's side. Always there like a loyal friend.
Well, elsewhere in the news, and today marks 100 days since the start of the war in Ukraine. It was the 24th of February that Vladimir Putin announced he'd launched that special military operation to demilitarise Ukraine. An international condemnation followed. The UN says there have been nearly 8,000 civilian casualties since the war started.
It's amazing to think it's 100 days already, isn't it? Do get in touch with us by emailing gbviews@gbnews.uk.
Well, loads of you getting in touch this morning. I'm just trying to find a tweet that somebody sent me because it just made a really good point about what the Queen wears. I'm afraid I can't find your name, but she tweeted in and said, in the montage that we have of the Queen, you see her in so many different colours. And is there a colour that doesn't suit her? No.
Ooh.
She just looked... Oh, and I'll tell you what I noticed. I don't know if anyone else picked up, but you know the portrait that was released yesterday?
Yes,
which
of
was
her
beautiful.
sitting next to a window in Windsor Castle, apparently.
But she was wearing the same outfit. That was taken on the 25th of May.
Yeah.
And she was wearing the same outfit yesterday.
Yes.
Now, I've never seen her in the same outfit twice.
No, that's very true. That's very true. I noticed that, yeah. It's like she was trying it out.
But I really like the fact that that's her Jubilee photograph.
Yes.
And she wore the same outfit yesterday.
Well, maybe her dresser thinks of that. Maybe think that's the official release of that photograph yesterday, and that's what she was wearing for the people yesterday.
Nabila was saying to me earlier on, she looks like a piece of Wedgwood. Because it's Wedgwood blue.
Oh, it is Wedgwood blue, yes.
Which is lovely.
With white edges.
Yeah, she's very nice.
That will be deliberate too, I'm sure. It's all very well thought through.
Gorgeous.
And it was lovely to see. Pamela says, your guest from Pinoso hadn't seen much of coverage of yesterday. That was our guest who was joining us, who was one of our GB viewers joining us from near Alicante. But I was glued all day, switching between Spanish TV and GB News. I also live in Alicante province and toasted Her Majesty in a fine Spanish cava. Love to you all and God save the Queen.
Yeah. It's the
God Save the Queen bit just got me there.
I thought it was the carver.
No, it was the God Save. It was the toast.
Stephen's been in touch. Morning, Stephen says, watching all your amazing coverage in Dalman in Turkey on our holidays. Yes, we got here.
Well done.
Well done, yeah. Love breakfast on GB News. Sending you best regards.
And he says, congratulations on your marriage, Stephen.
Thank you very much.
And we haven't made enough of that, have we? Are you going to let us show a picture later?
What I can't do is show any pictures with my husband's face in.
Oh.
He didn't want to,
Well, that wouldn't look so good.
No. Well, you know.
We show a picture of... there has to be a way we can get around that.
All sorts of that. We'll put a big emoji over his head or something.
It's because he's in the military.
Because in the military.
Yeah.
But no, it was a lovely day, and it was quite interesting actually because of all the royal regalia, and we had him and some of his colleagues there, all in
their
uniform.
finery.
Which just reminded me of what we saw yesterday, really.
Yes.
Very nice.
It's all part of the same thing, isn't it?
Yeah, it is.
It's
and
it's so
as
lovely
you know,
to see our soldiers turned out in their best, isn't it?
Yeah, and as you know, soldiers are, that first and foremost, they serve the Queen.
Yeah.
They're very passionate about Her Majesty.
Yeah.
Which is...
Tell you what, your other
lovely.
half didn't wear a bearskin, did he?
No.
It was so funny, wasn't it, watching them in their bearskins? It's so difficult to wear. They must be awful. And if you were watching out for Prince William and Prince Charles yesterday and to look at their faces, you could barely see a thing. It was just bearskin and chin.
Yes, they are all covered up with that sort of thing.
They must be horrendously difficult to wear.
Awful. But, I mean... What a parade.
Didn't see anyone faint, though, yesterday. You know, on a very hot summer's day, sometimes when they do the changing of the guard or something like that, you very often get one or two fainters, don't you?
Yeah.
Nobody appeared to yesterday.
No. So that was a good sign, though we did have a lifeguard fall off their horse.
No.
At one point.
I didn't see... Really?
Yeah.
Was that in the Trooping of the Colour bit?
Yeah.
No, I didn't see that.
Yeah.
Is that because he fainted?
No, I don't think so.
That can sometimes happen.
Just fell off.
God.
But I mean, it's
can't lose your concentration, can you?
No, I mean, but the pressure there must be to do that sort of thing.
And the astonishing movements they go, they at one point they're a big square of them, a big cube of soldiers almost, and they have to turn 360 degrees. And apparently that is one of the most difficult moves at all, because that means some of the soldiers are just almost marching on the spot, and others are doing, double and treble round them. Absolutely astonishing pictures yesterday.
Lovely to see.
It really
was.
was.
To see. We do it very, very well. Well, look, it was a truly special day of celebrations yesterday. No doubt about it. Buckingham Palace, though, has confirmed the Queen is going to miss the service at St Paul's today because she has some discomfort, apparently, after yesterday's events.
Yeah, well, it was a long day. Yeah. Anyway, the palace apparently officially said the Queen greatly enjoyed today's birthday parade and flypast, but did experience some discomfort. Taking into account the journey and activity required to participate in tomorrow's national service of Thanksgiving at St Paul's Cathedral, Her Majesty, with great reluctance, has concluded that she will not attend.
Now, in spite of those issues, Her Majesty was able to take part in the beacon lighting ceremony last night, setting...
it was the start of all the other beacons being lit all over the place.
I did think this was a little odd, where they made it's not a button. This
no,
made a sort of touch.
It was a little orb on a cushion that was put in front of her, so there's no way it can actually have been electrically connected to anything. But obviously all she had to do was touch it with her daintily gloved hand, and it set off this amazing pathway of lights that ended up at Buckingham Palace and lit the Tree of Trees. What was that like when you saw that?
We were right next to that. Our position yesterday, I was sat about 10 feet away from it, and it does look lovely. I mean, it's all made of metal.
Yes, but they're like flower pots.
Flower pots with little trees in them.
Yeah.
And it was beautiful.
And apparently, after the Jubilee, all of those little tiny trees, as you said, will go back to the nursery where they were brought up in Cambridge or Cambridgeshire, to be nurtured a little bit more, and then they will be planted all over the country.
Oh, you see, now that's nice.
As part of
like
the Queen's Green Canopy. Apparently, we've all got to plant a tree in October because that's good tree planting time of year.
Right.
So we've all got to plant at least one tree, and then then that's a real legacy as well, isn't it? That'll be the Queen's Green Canopy.
Well, the service today, which she now won't be attending at St Paul's, will give thanks for the 7 decades as the Queen as monarch, with the Prince of Wales, Duchess of Cornwall and the Duke and Duchess of Cambridge all attending.
Yeah, we know now that Prince Andrew hasn't been seen at any of the events because the palace has now told us that he has tested positive for COVID.
Yeah, as has the Archbishop of Canterbury, so he's going to miss the service. The Archbishop of York, Stephen Cottrell, will instead take charge.
Well, let's join now with the latest on Her Majesty's news and what's happening today. Our royal reporter, Cameron Walker, who's there at the palace. Hello, Cameron.
Hello and good morning. It's a beautiful morning here at Buckingham Palace, and I'm actually right next to that tree of trees which you were just discussing earlier, Stephen.
It's a shame about the Queen not being able to attend, Cameron, the service today, but I guess we understand that yesterday must have taken it out of her somewhat.
I think perhaps it did. We had 2 balcony appearances from Her Majesty at Buckingham Palace, followed by that beacon lighting ceremony yesterday evening. But we know that Her Majesty has had to, with regret, pull out of the service of Thanksgiving at St Paul's Cathedral. That's due to start at 11:30 a.m. today. I've been told by Buckingham Palace that she greatly enjoyed yesterday. There were crowds of thousands, people queuing out and camping out even for days before the Jubilee celebrations just to catch a glimpse of the royal family. But we're also told that she did experience some discomfort. We know she's had kind of episodic mobility problems in recent months, and I think to your eye that's palace speak for basically she has some good days and bad days with her mobility, and it's important, I think, that she needs to rest and she needs to pace herself. We understand, well, she was at Balmoral Castle this last week trying to rest in preparation for this weekend, but she is now definitely not going to St Paul's Cathedral. The Prince of Wales will be representing her, officially representing her, on Her Majesty's behalf. But other people going to the service of Thanksgiving later on today. We understand that Prince Harry and Meghan, the Duke and Duchess of Sussex, will be in attendance, but also people who will not be in attendance, the Duke of York, Prince Andrew. He has tested positive for coronavirus, as has the Archbishop of Canterbury, who was due to lead the service. So he's going to be replaced by the Archbishop of York. So some notable absentees, but I think they won't want to perhaps detract away attention that the fact, you know, Her Majesty is not going to be at the service of Thanksgiving. They'll want it to still be a celebration of Her Majesty's 70 years of service. And I think also it's important to point out that she did very much attend the beacon lighting ceremony yesterday. So, you know, it's very much mobility and pacing herself, I think.
Yes, it was quite late yesterday when she did that beacon lighting, and I can imagine that as soon as she got back indoors, one of her attendees probably had a nice drink for her and whisked her off to bed, because it made it a very long day for her. It's interesting seeing Buckingham Palace this morning. It must be much quieter there than it was this time yesterday, because obviously the Mall was full of people who had actually slept out overnight to get a good vantage point. It's not going to be the focus of attention, Buckingham Palace, today, is it?
No, not today. There's no official events planned at Buckingham Palace for today. It's very much the service of Thanksgiving at St Paul's Cathedral just across London later on this morning. Tomorrow it very much will be the focus again, though, because there is a big Jubilee concert happening on Saturday night, and Sunday, of course, we've got that brilliant pageant starting at Westminster Abbey, going up the Mall, down Whitehall, up the Mall towards Buckingham Palace, where Ed Sheeran will perform, and perhaps we might have another appearance of Her Majesty on the balcony at Buckingham Palace, but that is not confirmed. That is only speculation. So yes, there's still stuff to come at Buckingham Palace, but today it's very much about St Paul's Cathedral and her kind of relationship with the Church and with Christianity as Supreme Governor of the Church of England.
Well,
yes, she is the leader of the Church of England.
There are a lot of steps going up St Paul's, and I don't think there's any way around that. And you can imagine, and also I've been having a look at the order of service, and it looks a good hour, an hour and a half long. And I can imagine her advisors, and maybe she herself is thinking, I don't think I can take that. That's just asking a bit much. She'll have to watch it on the telly.
Yes, Buckingham Palace.
Yeah, go on, Cameron.
Sorry, I was just going to say, yes, Buckingham Palace did kind of nods to the fact that there's a lot of travelling involved from Windsor Castle to St Paul's Cathedral. And as you mentioned, Anne, lots and lots of steps up St Paul's Cathedral. We understand, from my understanding, if she was going to attend, she wouldn't have used that main entrance. It would have been a side door, similar to what she has done at Westminster Abbey in recent months. So it would have been a slightly shorter route to her seats, but nevertheless it would have been a lot of sitting and standing for hymns and prayers, and they've clearly decided, Her Majesty and her doctors have decided, that it would have just been slightly too much for her.
Yeah. OK, Cameron, for now, thank you. We'll catch up with you a little bit later on. It's perfectly understandable. She's 96 years old.
She's got to pace herself.
Got to pace herself.
I mean, the balcony moment was probably one of the most important, and she knew that, didn't she? And she made 3 appearances, after all, yesterday, when we might have feared that she might not be up to even 1. And it made it for everybody. It made launch day absolutely brilliant for everybody. And it gave the nation's press their front page pictures, didn't it? It really did.
Certainly did. Look, it is 7:14. Let's bring you up to date with some of the other headlines today. And it is 100 days since the start of the war in Ukraine. President Zelensky says his forces have had some success fighting Russians in the eastern city of Severodonetsk. But the governor of Ukraine's eastern Luhansk region says a number of weapons provided by the West are not enough.
The government wants to ditch what it's calling overbearing EU rules about imperial measurements. It's launched a consultation which may give traders more freedom to use pounds and ounces instead of kilos and grams when selling goods in the future.
Amber Heard plans to appeal the decision that she defamed her ex-husband, Johnny Depp. One of her attorneys says she has excellent grounds for the appeal, adding there was so much evidence that was not included during the trial. The jury awarded Depp $10 million in damages. Now, it is a long bank holiday weekend, so as usual, we're all living with complete travel chaos.
Yeah, there are planned train strikes, long tailbacks on motorways and cancelled flights. So many cancelled flights too.
And now there are some suggestions that it's down to work-shy Brits. Journalist Ross Clark is here to explain. Morning, Ross. Why is it down to us?
Well, we've got sort of in the sort of post-COVID Britain we're in. We seem to have everyone wants to go on holiday. Not so many people seem to want to work. We've got 400,000 people who have simply disappeared from the workforce, become what the ONS describes as economically inactive. They're not looking for work, they're not in work, they're just simply either retired or they're taking a break from their careers. And I mean, this obviously has an impact on the ability of places like airports to recruit people. And those people who are working, and an awful lot of them seem to be more interested in their work-life balance than actually in getting the job done. We've got sort of holiday company executives trying to work from the poolside in Spain and so on. And it is making it much more difficult to run organisations like holiday companies. If you've got sort of one person trying to check the tickets for a whole plane load rather than 2 or 3, well, that causes delays. And I think that there's been a whole different change in attitude towards work. It's all now sort of work-life balance. I think we've been spoilt in a way by the sort of months that people spent on furlough. They've gained a taste for sort of early retirement, and a lot of people sort of don't want to go back to working full time. Well, that's fine, but then of course a lot of same people who don't want to work full time or don't want to work from home, that they still expect people to be there to handle their baggage at airports, to stack the supermarket shelves and do all these jobs. And of course, when we go out and try and enjoy ourselves, we find it's more difficult to do because there's nobody working in the pubs, the hotels, airports and so on.
Well, that surely, I mean, whose fault is that? That surely has to be the fault of some of these companies, these travel companies and airlines, who by now should have smelt the coffee and actually got recruiting and training people and paying them well enough to want to work.
Well, yes. I mean, the holiday companies, airlines and so on, the other huge mistake they've made, of course, is to sell too many tickets when they knew they probably weren't going to be able to lift those planes off the ground. And as you say, I mean, they can try and recruit people, but if the pool of potential employees simply isn't big enough, well, it's very difficult to carry on the economy as we did before. And I say, if there's 400,000 people missing from the workforce who were there beforehand, also, there's also problems created by COVID and, international workers, some of those returning home. Brexit's got a little bit to do with that, but, the difficulties of living in this country, travelling to this country during COVID were far more to do with it. These things add together, and it makes for an economy where it's hard to do anything. And that feeds through directly into inflation. If you have to pay your airport baggage handlers more, if you have to pay your bar staff more, well, you're going to have to eventually push up prices. And, inflation is really one of the prices we pay for, this shrinkage in the workforce.
Oh dear, it's a bit of a gloomy picture. Let's hope we get things sorted out before too long. Ross, it's good to talk to you this morning. Thanks very much indeed.
Yes, thank you. Because one of the, I think there are several airlines now are saying if you do want to go on holiday and you really want to try and get out wherever you're going, only take cabin baggage with you.
Depends. Well,
I suppose that would make
doing.
a difference in the end, doesn't it? Because
but if I'm going, sometimes I've been able to do that in the past, but sometimes you just can't. Sometimes you do just need more clothes.
Yeah, you never wear them all, though, do you? Half of what you pack, you'd never wear, do you?
Well, depends who does the packing.
I used to take a big suitcase, and then at the end of the day, you'd think, I've only worn a couple of things, and actually you can get away with a smaller amount of luggage, I think. Especially if you really want to get away and you don't want to have to queue endlessly. I was coming back from, where was I coming back from the other day? Oh, I can't remember. Rome. That's right. I was coming back from Rome, and the airline got us there absolutely fine. The plane was absolutely fine, but we had to wait forever for the carousel and the baggage to be on the carousel. Forever. It's sort of really spoilt the experience.
Oh, that's a shame.
So if we'd only taken cabin baggage,
You'd
we'd have
been
been able
all
to walk straight past
out
that.
the door. Anyway, let us know if you can manage that sort of thing. I don't know. It needs some serious packing.
Seriously, you always pack too much, don't you?
I'm not going to say anything because I'll be accused of being misogynistic. Now,
there's probably something in that.
Now, as we celebrate Her Majesty the Queen and her 70 years on the throne, we've been asking you, our viewers and listeners, of your fond memories of our monarch.
So let's speak now to Barbara Prescott in Kent, because she's got a story to tell us about the Queen's coronation. Hello there. Oh, I love the red, white and blue, Barbara.
Yeah, do you like this? Yeah.
Very, very good.
I wore this last night for the beacon lighting ceremony, so I thought I'd put it on this morning.
Quite right, Joe. I've been trying to do my bit and I couldn't find anything blue. Except me and my fingers. I'm a bit cold. So tell us all, Barbara, what are your memories?
Well, I think, if I remember last week, you asked for memorabilia and I dug out one of my old photos, and it is old. I mean, we're talking 70 years ago. Anyway, it was a photograph that was taken in 1953 at a coronation party. We had a fancy dress parade. I was living at the time in Alston in Cumbria. And, so I'm the little girl holding her daddy's hand. And my mother had dressed me in red, white and blue. And I can remember that the dress was made of red, white and blue crepe paper. And I can remember her cutting out a crown made from a cornflakes box. She used the cardboard from the cornflakes box and covered that in crepe paper as well. And my dad was very proud that day, as you can see. It was quite small. I actually went on to win first prize. I'm not sure if it was just in my category, but I won first prize. My first prize was 15 shillings.
Lot of money. Actually, that's a lot of money too in those days, wasn't it?
What's that, 75p, isn't it?
So where is that?
Money.
That photograph, where is that?
Sorry?
The photograph, where is it?
Oh, sorry, it's in Alston in Cumbria.
Alston?
A little town called Alston. My mother came from Alston. My father came from Deal, where I live now. And so this is Alston High Street. And that's where the photograph was taken. The celebrations were happening all over the country, and yeah.
Yeah.
Do you know so with this 15 shillings, my dad said, "You've won that, Barbara. You can keep that." And wow, that was so much money to me. And for ages, every time my mother took me down the shops, I saw little black patent shoes, and I so wanted them. And I think I had almost enough money with the 15 shillings to buy them.
To buy them.
So that's my memory of that day.
That's nice.
Yeah.
I mean, look, when looking back at your picture, it looks like a more innocent time, really, and all those sort of celebrations. Reminds me a little bit of 1977, which is the first sort of royal thing I remember. Do you think that all these celebrations that we're seeing this time round, does it remind you of a sort of more innocent time in a way?
Well, I just think the celebrations we're seeing now are absolutely wonderful. It's so fantastic to see friends, families, and the country coming together, isn't it? You know, we've all had such a miserable time over the last couple of years, so it makes me proud to be British, actually. Nobody could put on the pomp and circumstance like the UK, can they? So, and the Queen is wonderful. She's absolutely wonderful. I was quite emotional watching her on the balcony yesterday. I mean, as we've said, 96 years old, and there she stood with her cousin, I think, the Duke of Kent, didn't she? But she looked so tiny, but absolutely beautiful she was. Absolutely lovely. Everybody adores her. And,
yeah, I agree.
long may she
Watching her come out the first time on the balcony with the Duke of Kent, they both looked old. And I don't mean that in a rude way. They just looked very old, and it reminded you of how long they've always been with us.
Yes. Oh, yes. Well, she's been with us all our lives, really, hasn't she? You know, she's always been there, and it's comforting to know she's there. And long may she be there. I mean, she's wonderful. Love her.
That's great. Love the bunting. Love the wear red, white, and blue outfit. Thank you so much for joining us today. Have a good day.
OK, thank you. Bye.
Yeah. Have a great
Bye,
day.
Barbara. OK, stay with us. We've got plenty more to come for you, including plenty more on the Jubilee celebrations and some tips for Derby Day tomorrow.
We are GB News.
We're right across this great nation.
On TV,
on radio, on digital.
Absolutely everywhere.
We don't talk down to you.
We embrace all voices.
With honest and civilised conversation.
We're not part of the establishment.
We're one of you.
And we're only getting started.
Join us on GB News,
The People's Channel.
Britain's news channel.
Every morning from 6 o'clock, we'll wake you up with GB News Breakfast with all the stories you didn't know from the night before.
So whether it's serious news, entertainment, or your own views from all over our great nation, we're here to kick off your day with a smile.
And the national media should be reflecting and reporting what's happening here.
You will notice the northwestern accents.
Whether you're with us on TV, radio, or online, every morning, it's breakfast from 6 a.m. Hope you can join us.
Join us for Ministry of Offence, the comedy panel show that's just like the news, in that the left fights the right and it doesn't really seem to matter who wins. We cover the big stories. It was, in fact, a troop of baboons and not angry vegans.
I like that.
And the really important stories.
Fat naked cow gets stuck in swimming pool.
It's a headline in a lot of local newspapers. Yeah.
we're on the same team, Nick. Yeah, I'm just helping you.
Join us for Ministry of Offence, Saturday nights, 8 o'clock on GB News.
I'm Dan Wootton. Join me Monday to Thursday from 9 to 11 for the feistiest and most fun news debate on TV, where free speech reigns. I'll bring you a sharp take on the day's biggest stories, bombshell newsmaker interviews, and A-list guests. And I guarantee you, no spin, no bias, no censorship, and no reason to go to bed. That's Dan Wootton tonight, Monday to Thursdays from 9 on GB News.
Oh, 7:28 morning to you. Just grabbing my cup of tea, ready for a big sporting chat with a very lovely Paul Coit, who's here and being nice to you today, Paul.
That was, I know, it kind of took me by surprise there for a second. I was a bit lost by the whole
Me too,
thing.
to be honest. But, you know, it's Jubilee weekend.
He's in Jubilee mode.
It is, I can tell he's in Jubilee mode.
Yeah.
Should we talk about cricket first?
Oh, let's.
Cricket, because I can tell by the excitement straight away there, as soon as I said cricket, England versus New Zealand. It's the first test. It's at Lord's. There's been so many changes as far as England cricket's concerned. We've got Brendan McCullum, who's now the new head coach. We've got Ben Stokes, who's now the captain. And it's been pretty bad for England, let's be honest. We won one test in the last 17. So going against New Zealand, who are the World Test champions, and it started off really well. With 4 wickets for 13 runs. Matt Potts, who's a youngster, a new bowler that's come in. Jimmy Anderson, who's the older member of the team, shall we say, who'd been dropped for tours abroad before. Now he's come back again. He took 4 wickets. And so we end up skittling out New Zealand for 132 runs.
Skittling out.
You know what? Skittling out is a phrase that's only ever used in 10-pin bowling and cricket.
It's a good phrase. I used to live near Lord's Cricket Ground, and I used to love it on days when there was a big match, because you'd see all these older guys really going along with their boaters and the MCC tie and everything.
Absolutely.
Off for a really good day at the
They were,
cricket.
absolutely.
Yeah.
And they were all there yesterday. So the thing is, the way things have gone with England is that it's like I said, we've had bad results, and it looked like everything was going very well. And notoriously wobbly, shall we say, I don't think there's a cricket term, when it comes to the batting. So it starts off fine, 50 for no loss. And then talk about skittling, it all then starts going downhill. Then there was the mid-order collapse. Joe Root, he got 11, and then Captain Ben Stokes was out for 1. And then we had Johnny Bairstow was only out for 1. So 5 England wickets fell for just 8 runs. So it ended out, what started off great, ended up a little bit disastrous. So 5 England wickets falling for 8 runs. England resume 116 for 7, so 16 runs behind. I feel like Johnny Bull doing Think of a Number.
Oh, yeah.
It's like 16 runs behind, 3 wickets still, and I imagine they'll probably go quite quickly. But after all that, I can say it's quite on an.
Well, they should get good play today because the weather should hold out today, don't
Absolutely, yeah. But
it
put
goes
it
on
this
any
way,
longer.
it's not going to go very long. This won't be a 5-day
could
test.
be over
This
quite
is,
quick.
there's 17 wickets fell in the first day, which is a lot. Yeah. So that's how that's looking.
Tennis.
Yes, Coco Gauff. Now, Coco Gauff, I know you like your tennis.
I do.
She's incredible. She's 18 years old. Couple of years, so I don't know whether she's taken the teenage crown now from Emma Raducanu, but she's now into the final against Iga Swiatek. Now, Iga Swiatek, she has won 34 matches now on the bounce.
Wow.
And if she wins the final, which is going to be against Coco, which is obviously at the French Open tomorrow, she will then equal the record, which is 35 since the year 2000. So we'll say this century. So that's the most wins this century, which is Venus Williams, who has that record. The record of all, do you know who probably has the record as far as
Billie
women's
Jean.
tennis? No, close. Go again. Another great.
Virginia Wade.
Great. Martina Navratilova. I think it's 74 wins on the bounce is the record of the most wins in one go,
isn't it?
which she did in 1980.
You see, Emma Raducanu had a very, very good run of wins, didn't she? And that led up to the American, the US Open. But then sort of everything's gone a bit off for her. And you can't help just think it's sort of like growing pains almost. She's still so young, and it may well be the same for Coco Gauff.
Exactly. Well, Coco Gauff, she made her name a couple of years ago at Wimbledon, and then she's had that time where she hasn't won anything.
You can blossom too soon, almost.
I think so. I think that's the case. So that's the final tomorrow, and Rafa Nadal, who's 36 today, by the way, will be in the semi-final, and that's
wonderful.
And we're just very worried about his foot because this injury could actually finish his career. This is how serious it is. So if he manages to go on, I mean, I think everybody's behind him to win that title in the French Open.
OK, let's talk about the Hosses tomorrow.
The what?
The Hosses.
The Hosses, yes.
The horses?
What money does one put on the
horses?
The horses.
You're talking about the Derby, aren't you?
The Derby tomorrow. I'm quite fancying Royal Patronage, just because of the name.
I think so. I think there's a lot of people like you who are probably going to go for that.
I want
and
changing
bet
of
when
the
it
guard.
comes to the name.
I mean, a lot of the names are royal, are they not?
They are. But one that's been mentioned a lot to me is Nahami, and that is each. I mean, this is I like something with good odds.
Yeah.
Because if you're not going to bet very often and you're going to go for a big race, you might as well think, if I'm going to win, I want to win big.
Yeah.
Which is probably not the winner's way that a lot of gamblers would go. But each way at 25 to 1 is probably worth a couple of pounds, I think, of anybody's money. So that would be good. But the Epsom Derby is tomorrow. Do you know how long it's been going?
No.
Since the 1750s.
Yeah, it's Queen Anne or something, wasn't it?
Yeah. It's going for a very long time. So the Epsom Derby goes tomorrow. They're going to honour Lester Piggott, of course, who passed away. This man that's won it so many times, won it when he was just like 17 years old, back in the 50s. But we do have the clerk of the course called Andrew Cooper, who I think it'd be great to speak to, who's obviously going to be at Epsom at the moment. And are you there, Andrew?
There he is.
Certainly am.
Sir, great to speak to you. Now, firstly, I really want to ask you, this must be the busiest job at any racecourse, and to be someone like Epsom, what does the job involve being clerk of the course? I guess it's pretty much everything, isn't it?
Well, it's everything that concerns the horse racing part of the day. I'm not really involved with a lot of the public side, the restaurants, the ticket sales, that sort of thing. But anything that concerns the actual horse racing and the delivery of it is down to the clerk of the course on any race day in this country.
Morning. I guess you would have walked the course already because there's plenty of races today, but then, of course, the Derby is tomorrow. What is that, about a 6 a.m. start? You go out with the stick and feel the ground? What happens there?
Yeah, we've been out at 6 o'clock this morning. A small group of us with the head groundsman walked round. Lovely morning here at Epsom, as expected. The ground is just, we would describe, on the slow side of good today at the moment after the rain earlier in the week. But no, it's in good condition and it'll dry a little bit during the course of today.
And what is the perfect going when it gets to the Derby? What is it you prefer? Is there anything?
Well, I mean, horses and their trainers tend to have preferences for their individual horses, really. But in terms of what I think we should be aiming for as a summer flat race, it's probably ground a little bit faster than we are at present and ground on the faster side of good, which I think with the overall weather forecast, I think is where we'll end up.
You know what? You were that close to saying horses for courses then for a second, weren't you? I did notice you were very, very close to saying horses for courses. Now, obviously, with the Jubilee and the Queen, who loves the racing, of course. I know there's, isn't there a parade of jockeys that are going to be there tomorrow? Ex-Derby riders that are actually honouring the Queen, that have actually raced for the Queen. Is that tomorrow?
That is tomorrow, yes. There's going to be a guard of honour. I think there's about 40 jockeys who've ridden for Her Majesty over the years are going to line the course. So, yes, that's part of the plan for tomorrow.
I've got to ask you this, because I'm sure everybody asks you, and this is probably something that you'll never say, but do you ever give tips when you're there, working at Epsom, working at the Derby? You must have your eye on a few horses, or is it absolutely not the sort of thing that you should do?
No, I think to do this job, you have to be interested very much in the horses, the races, the result, and you tend to develop a preference and a sort of a fancy in each race.
And as far as the Derby,
well,
anything?
I know you mentioned several horses, the team there, who've all got good chances. I mean, I think there's a horse.
OK, so we're not far off the mark, is what you're going to say. That's as far as you're going to go.
It is, yeah.
OK, well, listen, it's really good.
It would be lovely if a horse called Desert Crown, which again has got a royal connection, won the race, who's trained by a wonderful man called Sir Michael Stout, who's in his mid-70s now.
Five-time winner, isn't he? Five-time winner as a trainer.
Absolutely. Legendary trainer, wonderful man. It would be a lovely story, I think, if he could have another Derby winner.
Really good to speak to you. I hope the weather stays good for tomorrow. It's going to be a terrific day, as always, especially with all the celebrations as well. And I know exactly what you were saying about the horses, so we'll keep that to ourselves. Thank you very much.
Lovely stuff.
I think we got a tip. Did we secretly get a tip from him?
I don't know.
We did.
He's hedging his bets.
I think a fiver on Desert Crown might be worth it.
OK, say no more. You leave that with me.
I don't know how to place a bet.
OK, well, I'll do that for you.
Yeah,
and then, are you good for the money, though?
Yeah,
OK,
yeah.
fine. All right.
Yeah.
All right, you can put a fiver on for me, too.
OK, all right, fine.
There you go. We shall see. Paul, thank you.
Thank you very much.
Catch up with you very soon with the winnings.
Absolutely.
Yeah, do stay with us. And don't forget to let us know your best bits of yesterday when we're talking about the Jubilee celebrations. Love to hear your views. gbviews@gbnews.uk. And do stay with us. We've got plenty more to come, including our reporter Jeff Moody is probably somewhere on your doorstep if you live in Cornwall.
We are GB News.
We're right across this great nation.
On TV,
on radio, on digital.
Absolutely everywhere.
We don't talk down to you.
We embrace all voices.
With honest and civilised conversation.
We're not part of the establishment.
We're one of you.
And we're only getting started.
Join us on GB News,
The People's Channel.
Britain's news channel.
Every morning from 6 o'clock, we'll wake you up with GB News Breakfast with all the stories you didn't know from the night before.
So whether it's serious news, entertainment, or your own views from all over our great nation, we're here to kick off your day with a smile.
The national media should be reflecting and reporting what's happening here.
You will notice the northwestern accents.
Whether you're with us on TV, radio, or online, every morning, it's breakfast from 6 a.m. Hope you can join us.
Join us for Ministry of Offence, the comedy panel show that's just like the news, in that the left fights the right and it doesn't really seem to matter who wins. We cover the big stories. It was in fact a troop of baboons and not angry vegans.
I like that.
And the really important stories.
Fat naked cow gets stuck in swimming pool.
It's a headline in a lot of local newspapers. Yeah.
We're on the same team, Nick. Yeah, but I'm just helping you.
Join us for Ministry of Offence, Saturday nights, 8 o'clock on GB News.
I'm Dan Wootton. Join me Monday to Thursday from 9 to 11 for the feistiest and most fun news debate on TV, where free speech reigns. I'll bring you a sharp take on the day's biggest stories, bombshell newsmaker interviews, and A-list guests. And I guarantee you, no spin, no bias, no censorship, and no reason to go to bed. That's Dan Wootton tonight, Monday to Thursdays from 9 on GB News.
7:40. Morning to you. It's
Morning,
nice
yeah.
to be. Man, you're a bit chilly this morning, aren't you?
It's blinking freezing in here. Absolutely. I'm red, white and blue. The blue bits are my fingers and toes.
OK, let's have a look at the papers for you. And the Eye calls her a history maker. Her Majesty the Queen, of course, as she becomes the first British monarch to mark 70 years on the throne. It's a lovely picture.
It is. The Mirror says, wow, what a racket, great granny, because Prince Louis is seen covering his ears for the fly past.
The Mail says the crowd on the Mall should have been louder for Her Majesty, as the Queen will now miss her Thanksgiving service at St Paul's.
And there's the Telegraph with the lovely balcony scene there at the top. And they're calling it an absolutely glorious do. I tell you what, if you go inside the Telegraph, can I just show you this?
Hold this side.
This is the most incredible double-page spread. Can you see that shot? That's the red arrows flying over the Mall and Buckingham Palace with all of the beautiful greenery, the Green Park below you, and, of course, the buildings there in London. How did they get that shot?
I don't know.
Because if that was taken by a drone, which is all I can think it must be, then the drone must have been flying higher than the red arrows.
It must have had special clearance to do so.
Absolutely
But it's a fabulous shot. Absolutely.
I mean, there
fabulous.
are some wonderful photographs in the papers today. So if you're the sort of person who likes to have these sort of souvenir issues, absolutely brilliant. But the Daily Telegraph, they've played the photographs huge. Absolutely brilliant.
Really lovely. Well, let's go through some of those papers in a bit more detail with Benjamin Buttermouth from the Eye newspaper and the journalist Nabila Ramdani. Morning, both of you.
Good morning.
Benjamin, let's have a look at the beacons, lighting the beacons in the Times.
Yes, and just to answer Anne's question, there were some helicopters filming it from higher and further away, so I suspect the photos from there, because they shared it on social media, some of the video of those moments from the helicopters. So I think it was that and not a drone. It'd be a bit nervous of a drone so high. But yeah, the beacon. So the last night you might have seen the Queen lit her beacon, which went up to a tree, and you had Prince William at Buckingham Palace. And I thought, it was someone kind of trying to think up something to do, frankly. It seemed a little bit odd, but it turns out it goes back to Queen Victoria's Diamond Jubilee in 1897. So there isn't a person on the planet who was alive to remember that. And apparently she's had these beacons at all of hers. And 54 nations around the world have lit them, about 3,000 of the beacons. So I think the idea is to show the stretch of her influence and of the people that admire her.
Have you seen the famous scene in Lord of the Rings movie where they light all the beacons? And beacons. I was brought up near a beacon, Malvern, on the Malvern Hills, and you get to know what a beacon is about. And it was always the only way to actually signal a whole. It was the early telephone, if you like. And if you lit a beacon, the next beacon, people who lived at the next beacon knew what the signal meant. And so the lighting of beacons is terribly important. It's a way of getting a message around the country. But I didn't know other countries were doing it too, which is great.
54, and I don't think that's simply the Commonwealth nations, because I think France has lit one. I think lots of countries have engaged with this, which is lovely. And I think, there's no one else, certainly no other Brit, for whom so many countries would want to do something like that as for the Queen.
And indeed, Nabila, in the Mail, they're looking at the tributes, including rather unusual tributes to Her Majesty the Queen.
Yes, indeed. We have the leader of North Korea, Kim Jong-un, who joined a world tribute to, and he actually sent a letter to Her Majesty to congratulate her on 70 years of service. So even a rogue state like North Korea is actually an indication of how influential the Crown is throughout the world, and it can only be a good thing for Britain and its influence, and indeed its standing in the world. And, I mean, it has to be said that tributes were pouring up from all over the world, from great republics like America. We heard the American President Joe Biden, who said to Her Majesty, "You have inspired people with your selfless devotion and service to the United Kingdom and the Commonwealth." I think those two words, service and devotion.
He and his wife even went to the trouble of recording that video message, which I thought, I've never seen a president do anything like that before.
Well, the French president did the exact same thing. He recorded a message in English with a bit of French at the end. But
he could have done it because she's fluent in French, Her Majesty, isn't she?
Well, absolutely. She speaks very good French, and she has travelled to France a number of times. I've actually met her on her last trip in France.
In France?
In France, when she was in Paris, and I mean, I saw just seeing her gliding on her Rolls-Royce up the Champs-Élysées is quite a scene when you think about French presidents being driven in Renault cars and Citroëns. It contrasts quite sharply with the grand, sense of class, a true class that the Queen carries. And, any Queen's 70th birthday or anniversary, effectively, on the throne would be an astonishing event in itself, and it is especially so when we're talking about a monarch who's lived through such a rich and fascinating, not only British history, but also world history. And it has to be noted, even in the world tributes, even Sinn Féin's, the party vice president, Michelle O'Neill, she wrote, "Your Platinum Jubilee is a historic moment, especially for all those from the Unionist and British tradition on the Isle of Ireland, whom hold you very dear." And I think that's quite
something, isn't it?
Of, the Queen is, of course, part of history, but she's also part of a changing history. And I think that's important here, that Sinn Féin, of course, has always been committed to the Republican struggle against the British Crown. But they accept that the world has changed drastically and quite dramatically during the Queen's reign, which is a representative of a changing world and also a world of reconciliation.
Yeah, and I feel like only someone like the Queen and the space that she occupies could inspire politicians to have such dignity. I don't think anyone else would get them to behave like that. President Barack Obama and Michelle Obama recorded messages separately paying tribute to her, and Barack Obama said that the Queen is a gift to the world and truly one of the most special people I've ever met, in his words. And you can tell that's authentic. One of the people that didn't send a message, despite claiming to love her so much, is President Donald Trump.
Didn't they?
No, but Melania Trump, late last night, put a tweet out saying Happy Platinum Jubilee. So I've got a sneaking suspicion they might have forgotten the occasion in advance.
Oh, dear.
Oh, busy doing something else. How embarrassing.
Yes. Look, we are a bit squeezed for time this hour, so we're going to have to leave it there, Nabila and Benjamin. But thank you. We will see you for a bit of a longer session, as it were, next time.
Absolutely. But right now, at 7:47, it's time for On Your Doorstep.
Well, Jeff Moody is headed down to Launceston in Cornwall to see what celebrations are happening there this weekend. Morning, Jeff.
Good morning. Well, I spent a delicious half an hour or so in a distillery, and I've now found myself a pub. Not a bad morning's work, I must say. Let's have a look inside and see what's been going on for the Jubilee. There's certainly plenty of decorations around. Look, here is Her Maj, and here is the other Majesty. Good morning to you. You're live on GB News.
Good morning. Nice to see you.
Tell us your name.
My name's Jo Jenkins, the landlady of the Westgate.
Jo, I hear that yesterday you were dressed up as the Queen.
I was. I had full shampoo set, the full crown, all the regalia, everything, and I had a guardsman with me as well.
Fabulous. So what actually happened here yesterday?
We had a little party in the evening. It was Jubilee disco. Theme was all things British, so all the music was British music, British bands, and yeah, a few fancy dress. Not too many, but a little bit of red, white, and blue going on, so that was good.
And the licensing hours were extended over this weekend, weren't they?
Yeah,
Did you take advantage of that?
We do take advantage, but we're conscious of other pubs in the area, so we tend to close a little bit earlier. So if anything else is going on other pubs, people can forward on from there then. So
You
share
spread
it.
the love.
Yeah. Spread the love.
So tell me about business at the moment. Going well?
It's picking up. Certainly Jubilee weekend's going to help us all in town. So onwards and upwards at the moment. So it's very good.
Can you pour me a drink by any chance? Any chance of a Carlsberg?
You can have a Carlsberg
Oh,
if you like.
thank you
Would you like
very
a pint
much.
or half?
Oh, I'll have a half,
Half,
please.
okay.
It's a bit too early in the
Bit
morning
too
for a
early.
full pint. So business is going all right then? The Jubilee's certainly come at the right time, hasn't it?
It has. It's it's starting to pick up. As I say, few more people coming around and getting out and about, which is good. So yeah, there you go.
Oh, thank you very much. That'll go with my whiskey very nicely. Tell me about Launceston, because it's in a bit of a strange position, isn't it? It's the gateway to Cornwall, but people tend to come through it and out the other side.
They do bypass us a little bit. I think they're in a rush to get to their little holiday accommodation. So if you are passing by, always have a little stop off. There's a lot more in Launceston that meets the eye, really. Lots of nice pubs, lots of nice places to eat, good little shops, absolutely fantastic little town.
Jo, thank you very much indeed. Well, I'm going to sip this to go on top of my whiskey, and after that, I need a bit of redemption. So let's see what redemption I can find. Come back to me in an hour's time and see whether I've managed to find a bit of redemption. But for now, a bit early in the day, but hey, someone's got to do it. It is the Jubilee weekend.
Oh, you've got a party,
10 to 8 in the morning. It is a bit early in the day, though, surely.
It's all right. It'll be right. It'll
Anyway.
be right. Thanks,
It goes
Jeff.
down quite well,
Enjoy.
though, I must admit.
Yeah, it's nice to see they've got the bunting out in Cornwall. So let's go on talking about the Jubilee, shall we, and today's celebrations. To help us look through the big moments so far is former royal correspondent Michael Cole is with us. Hello.
Good morning.
And you yourself are royal royalty.
Yes, well, not quite, but I was around them for a very, very long time. And yesterday, perfect. I mean, pomp and circumstance. Set it to music, but we did it, and it was wonderful. And, you know, the television age, the mass television age, began with the coronation 70 years ago. And I think yesterday, television, including yourselves, very much including yourselves, did the occasion proud, did the Queen proud. I found it very, very emotional.
You're
really.
absolutely right when you think of it, because I was telling the story last weekend about how my dad made television out of a cathode ray tube, and that's how they watched the coronation.
Yes.
So that's 70 years ago, and they were watching this little cathode ray tube, and all the neighbours came round. How they saw it, I don't know. And then yesterday, 70 years later, you look what we were able to show, and the whole nation joined in.
Exactly, and I said to Stephen yesterday, Richard Dimbleby, the great BBC broadcaster, he reinvented the monarchy for the television age with his whispered, "The Queen is crowned," the historical present, sent shivers up people's backs. And there it was, and it was done. Television has done a great job for the Queen, but she's done a brilliant job for the nation and the Commonwealth, and indeed the world, as the world leaders that yesterday recognised. So it was a great shame and a genuine surprise last night to hear that she wouldn't be going to the Thanksgiving for her life service, but that long flight of steps up the west front of St Paul's Cathedral, obviously too much, daunting, discretion being the better part of valour, and she's pacing herself, and she decided to pull out, because that's a very important place in the story of the Queen, because after the 1997 Silver Jubilee, that was where the very first royal walkabout happened in this country. You may remember she had a lovely pink coat and I say a pillbox hat with little
Oh,
bits
yes,
on it. Do you remember?
Dreadful thing, but yeah.
So she went out there and met the people for the first time.
Yes.
I mean, it's now a commonplace thing. You expect it.
I mean, I can't quite believe that the first Royal Walkabout was 77.
It was.
It seems
It
extraordinary.
was. They tried it once in Australia, and it went okay. You know, they only do things very, very gradually in the royal family. They put their toe in the bath to make sure that the temperature is right. But of course, she won't be there. Prince Charles will be centre stage. But of course, the Sussexes will be there, hardly seen yesterday, either by accident or by design. There was not a single television shot of Harry and Meghan.
No, only a very long lens paparazzi
Well, I think
type.
the newspapers got some shots, but they were there. They've said they want to be low profile, but they will be there. And, of course, tomorrow is the little baby, Lilibet's first birthday.
Yes.
And I haven't seen this anywhere reported, so allow me to make a prediction. It would seem sensible to me during this weekend that the child be christened at St George's Chapel. A baptism, well, it would make sense. They're not back here from their fortress on a hilltop in Santa Barbara or wherever it is in California very often. They were married there. Archie, the 3-year-old, he was christened there.
And we haven't heard that Lilibet's been christened at all, have we?
She hasn't been. But it could be a small ceremony. I mean, you've got the Dean of Windsor. You can do it. It'll be just family members.
Yeah.
And maybe that will be another opportunity for reconciliation.
Well,
you know?
It would be, wouldn't it?
Well, the Queen is a great believer in God. She has great faith. And Jesus Christ said, faith, hope and charity. And the greatest of these is charity. And in the biblical sense, charity means love. And a family's love is stronger than anything.
And I think that's the message she wants to leave us, isn't it?
Totally. And, you know, Anne, I felt very much that this was an end of an era yesterday, where people will look back and say that was the end of the Elizabethan era. Queen Victoria had the Diamond Jubilee 1897. She lived another 4 years, but that Diamond Jubilee more or less was the full stop to it. The Queen will never abdicate. The succession will be after her death. And her mother lived to 101. The royal apple doesn't fall very far from the tree, so maybe she'll go on for another 5 years, which would be terrific. But people, I think, will come to say, do you remember that day? And I was there.
Yes.
And the fact that we, you know, whatever happens to the rest of the weekend, we saw her come out on that balcony yesterday.
Fantastic.
I mean, it was
Fantastic.
amazing.
Fantastic. I was actually in full flow to an American network. And they said, no, we're going to the balcony. The Queen's out. I said, you go there, you know. And they did. And they were lapping it up. They were absolutely lapping it up. And the Americans, of course, love the Queen. There's only one Queen. When they sort of talk about the Queen, they're not talking about the Queen of
wherever else in the world. No, that's right. I'm
or
afraid
somewhere
they're
like
not.
that.
Yeah, and you said you were walking back through the crowds.
Yeah, I
and
was.
you felt this incredible uplift from people.
You know something, Anne? You know, people in this country, nobody was being coerced. They weren't being told to be there. They weren't being bussed in as they are in communist countries. It wasn't like North Korea where people are drilled. They were there because they wanted to be there. The ordinary, decent people of this country who never get heard from, they were showing by their presence what they felt about their monarch.
You
They
feel
really
quite
were.
emotional about it
I
yourself,
am,
don't you?
Because, well, it's my life too. I was 8 years old when she came to the throne. I'm 79 now. And we, all of us, in a sort of way, I bet you say about your children, oh, he was born at the time of...
Yes.
Don't you?
Yes,
You don't you? You do.
Well, on that note, we've got to leave it there, Michael, but on that note, Shirley's been in touch. Morning to you, Shirley. So we missed the programme yesterday as we were at Peterborough Hospital welcoming our granddaughter.
Well, there we
into
are.
The world.
There you go.
Elizabeth Jean.
Oh, that's nice.
At 5 o'clock and is beautiful.
We love that.
Congratulations to you. And welcome to the world.
And you'll always be able to
June.
tell her you're called Elizabeth because you were born on Platinum Jubilee Day.
Wonderful news. Look,
That's really super.
That's nice, isn't it? We've got to leave it there with you, Michael. Sadly, you can stay all morning if you like.
Well, you know.
Well, you certainly can.
Don't have to go
I'm here,
anywhere.
but you put money in here, it comes out here.
Oh, there we go. But coming up for you, much more on the Jubilee celebrations, and we're going to meet the oldest bell ringer in town. More details in a moment.
We are GB News.
We're right across this great nation.
On TV,
on radio, on digital.
Absolutely everywhere.
We don't talk down to you.
We embrace all voices.
With honest and civilised conversation.
we're not part of the establishment.
We're one of you.
And we're only getting started.
Join us on GB News,
The People's Channel.
Britain's news channel.
Every morning from 6 o'clock, we'll wake you up with GB News Breakfast with all the stories you didn't know from the night before.
So whether it's serious news, entertainment, or your own views from all over our great nation, we're here to kick off your day with a smile.
The national media should be reflecting and reporting what's happening here.
You will notice the northwestern accents.
Whether you're with us on TV, radio, or online, every morning, it's breakfast from 6 a.m. Hope you can join us.
Join us for Ministry of Offence, the comedy panel show that's just like the news, in that the left fights the right and it doesn't really seem to matter who wins. We cover the big stories. It was in fact a troop of baboons and not angry vegans.
I like that.
And the really important stories.
Fat naked cow gets stuck in swimming pool.
It's a headline in a lot of local newspapers. Yeah.
We're on the same team, Nick. Yeah, but I'm just helping you.
Join us for Ministry of Offence, Saturday nights, 8 o'clock on GB News.
I'm Dan Wootton. Join me Monday to Thursday from 9 to 11 for the feistiest and most fun news debate on TV, where free speech reigns. I'll bring you a sharp take on the day's biggest stories, bombshell newsmaker interviews, and A-list guests. And I guarantee you, no spin, no bias, no censorship, and no reason to go to bed. That's Dan Wootton tonight, Monday to Thursdays from 9 on GB News.
The nation continues to celebrate the Platinum Jubilee today as a service of thanksgiving takes place at St Paul's Cathedral, whilst the Queen will remain at Windsor Castle.
Good morning to you. It's 2 minutes past 8 on Friday, the 3rd of June. It is the Jubilee Bank Holiday weekend, and this is Breakfast on GB News with Stephen and Anne.
And don't forget, you're very important to us. We want your views because we are the People's Channel, live across the whole of the UK, on your TV, your radio, and online.
And I think we should forever have this music as our introduction because it
It
makes me feel very regal this morning.
Yeah, and why not?
Yes, this is what you're waking up to today. And the Queen has pulled out of attending a special service of Thanksgiving at St Paul's Cathedral after experiencing some discomfort while watching yesterday's parade at Buckingham Palace.
And later on in the programme, we're going to be speaking to the soldiers who have released this special tribute single for the Jubilee entitled Her Majesty the Queen.
Always there by our nation's side. Always there like a loyal friend.
Well, elsewhere, and today marks 100 days since the start of the war in Ukraine. That all started on the 24th of February, when Vladimir Putin announced he'd launched a special military operation to demilitarise Ukraine. There was, of course, huge international condemnation. The UN says there have been nearly 8,000 civilian casualties since the war started.
I must say, it makes you feel a bit odd, doesn't it? We're marking 100 days since the start of the Ukraine war. And whilst we in Britain are sort of celebrating 70 years of our monarch on the throne, it's almost difficult going from one to t'other, but that's the world, I suppose, isn't it? Do let us know what your feelings are. Get in touch, as always. Marie, I think it's K-Marie, says, "Good morning, loving your show. We attended the Jubilee celebrations yesterday on the Mall and had a wonderful day, but we were standing in the area where the protesters leapt over our heads to break through the barriers. Thankfully, the fantastic police in attendance dealt with it really swiftly, to many cheers and claps of the crowd around us. But having our young daughter with us and all the other children around us, it was really scary for a moment when we weren't sure what was happening, because you always do imagine the worst could happen."
Yeah, but it was a scary moment. Look, I'm glad that you're all right. Keep your thoughts coming through to us, gbviews@gbnews.uk. Always, I like a lighter side touch on things. Melvin. Morning, Melvin. There's the best thing about the Jubilee is a lack of politicians on our TVs talking incessantly about Partygate. Isn't it wonderful?
Really is, isn't it?
Very nice indeed. You've got a fair point there, Melvin.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
And it's amazing. People out and about and so far-flung. Linda says, "I'm watching you both from Tel Aviv. You look so happy giving viewers the highlights."
Now, she says, "I made Aliyah to Israel." I'm not sure what that is.
I don't know.
Is that like a pilgrimage or something?
It may be.
Making Aliyah? I don't know. If you know, get in touch and inform us, educate us.
Yeah, but no one does anything so amazing as Great Britain.
Love the trooping of the colours.
We do pageantry very, very well. It's got to be said.
And I think, as one of our viewers said earlier, can't we, can't we have one day when we are allowed to feel proud to be British without anyone whinging about it, please?
Yeah.
And I think we have had that one day, but there's no reason why we shouldn't have the full weekend too.
Yeah, Sammy's been in touch. She can't go to any street parties. She's disabled, so she's not going to have any street parties. Sorry about that, Sammy. But she says, "I'm Asian British. There is immense respect for the Queen. I saw everything on TV, and all Asian people who were born or lived here absolutely love the Queen. Long live the Queen." Quite right.
And I think, so many people were represented when you were just looking along the line of soldiers, under their bare skins, if you could see their faces at all. You could see absolutely all sorts of people represented now in our military. And that made you proud as well, because it reminds you of, over the 70 years that the Queen has been our monarch, it's the Commonwealth nations and everything like that has been embraced and very much part of the tapestry of our country now.
Which is amazing when you think about all the changes that the Queen has witnessed.
Well, her father was the last king to be emperor, wasn't he?
Was he emperor?
Well, I think he was an emperor, but she wasn't. She was never an empress, no. I'll have to double-check with her. I think her father was. And and she's seen so many countries that used to be part of the British Empire that managed to get their freedom and were made independent and then very determined to become part of the Commonwealth. And she has always been very, very proud since the days we're looking at her now in black and white footage of her travelling abroad with Prince Philip, of course, always by her side. And she's travelled so many countries across the world, in so many cases, at the ceremonies where certain countries, like I said, that were part of the British Empire, were given their independence.
But isn't it remarkable when you look at, I mean, she's just a young lady, young woman in these pictures, and you just think of all she has seen and the fact that she has provided that stability of just being there on the throne for all this time.
We've known her as an older woman for so long, but it takes these pictures sometimes, and we're seeing her now at her coronation, takes these pictures to remind us that she was young and absolutely beautiful.
Oh, yeah.
As was her husband, I have to say. He was gorgeous. But she was young and slim, and she looked wonderful in that dress.
And the responsibility of taking on the crown at 26...
And the weight of it.
Must have been...
She's talked in documentaries since, hasn't she, that an incredibly heavy crown and that she had to practice wearing it. And she said that she joked if you just tilted your head or sneezed, you would have broken your neck because it was so heavy.
Yeah, quite something. There
Brilliant.
you go. Lovely to see.
Lovely
And it's lovely to reminisce, actually, about all the years that she's been with us, and to see her yesterday on the balcony looking happy and smiling, and the fact she's, you know, she now says she's had some discomfort and she's now having today off. Well,
yeah, pace yourself.
Yeah, rest up. Have a get on the chaise long and have a martini.
I think when you think of the service of commemoration in St Paul's today is going to be long, and there's going to be a lot of sitting, standing, kneeling, and singing, and as there are all these services. And I've had a look at the order of service, and it looks a good hour to an hour and a half long. I can see why that her advisors and probably she herself thought, no, I think I'll sit that one out and I'll watch it. I'll watch it at home on the telly.
Yeah. Fair enough, I think. Look, we've waffled on for a good 10 minutes, so let's just take you through some of the key points then. And Buckingham Palace has confirmed that the Queen is going to miss that service at St Paul's. A little bit of discomfort watching the events yesterday. They said the Queen greatly enjoyed the birthday parade and fly past, but did experience some discomfort, taking into account the journey and activity required to participate in the national service of Thanksgiving at St Paul's. Her Majesty, with great reluctance, has concluded she will not attend.
But in spite of her health issues, she did take part in the beacon lighting ceremony, beginning the tradition of the public setting alight smaller beacons right across the nation.
And there she... Oh, we just missed that, but never mind. St Paul's in central London will give thanks for the Queen's 7 decades as monarch. The Prince of Wales, the Duchess of Cornwall, as well as the Duke and Duchess of Cambridge will all attend.
We now know that Prince Andrew will not be attending because he has tested positive for COVID.
As has the Archbishop of Canterbury, so he's going to miss that service. The Archbishop of York, Stephen Cottrell, will take charge instead.
Well, joining us now with the very latest on Her Majesty and today's events is our royal reporter Cameron Walker, still outside Buckingham Palace there. Hello, Cameron. What is going to be happening today? It's not so much a focus on Buckingham Palace today, is it?
No, it's not, Anne. It's very much a focus on St Paul's Cathedral for that national service of Thanksgiving, thanking, you know, Her Majesty for her 70 years of service to Great Britain and the Commonwealth. But Buckingham Palace confirmed yesterday that Her Majesty will not be attending. They said that she greatly enjoyed yesterday's Trooping the Colour and the Royal Fly Past for her official birthday. But after experiencing some discomfort yesterday, she has decided to pull out of the cathedral service. We understand and we know that she's had kind of episodic mobility problems in recent months. And I think to your eye, that means she has some good days and some bad days with her movement, which, you know, she has struggled with. She had a cane on the balcony when she was appearing on the balcony behind us, a walking stick to aid her. But she did appear at the beacon lighting yesterday, so I think it is purely a mobility issue. But today at St Paul's, we are expecting other members of the royal family to attend. We're expecting the Prince of Wales, the Duchess of Cornwall, the Duke and Duchess of Cambridge as well, Earl and Countess of Wessex, and notably Prince Harry and Meghan, the Duke and Duchess of Sussex. However, I think they all want to keep as kind of a lower profile as possible, so I think they'll literally just be in and out, so there'll be no kind of fanfare with them in particular. But some notable absentees as well. The Duke of York, Prince Andrew, will not be in attendance. He has tested positive for coronavirus, as has the Archbishop of Canterbury, who was due to lead that service of Thanksgiving this morning. So the Duke of York is going to be taking his place.
OK, look, we'll leave it there for now. Cameron, thank you very much indeed. Catch up with you a little bit later on. Well, as the nation celebrates the Platinum Jubilee, Pontefract in West Yorkshire is getting into the swing of the celebrations.
Yeah, the Pontefract Civic Society have spent 9 months planning and working towards the Jubilee. At the Town Hall, they've replicated the 3 arches built in 1911 for the coronation of King George V and Queen Mary, with 9 schools involved in the work.
Oh, quite a project. Well, Anna Riley has a story and joins us now. What can you tell us, Anna?
Good morning, Stephen and Anne. Yes, I'm in Pontefract this morning, and there's certainly been a hive of activity for the Jubilee marking the Queen's 70-year reign. I'm joined today by Paul Cartwright. He is the chair of Pontefract Civic Society. Paul, just tell us about the Jubilee celebrations in Pontefract.
Good morning, Anna, and thank you very much for coming to Pontefract. As far as our Jubilee celebrations are concerned, we started way back in October. Last year, community groups and individuals meeting in Pontefract Town Hall, and it was about hopefully people coming forward to say, yeah, stepping up to the plate, we'll lead, we'll help do something, and we've had a massive response. Loads and loads of activities, some of them online, some face-to-face, and decorations that have been created around the town. So it's really created a huge buzz, and we're really thankful for people who have come out and helped create what we have in Pontefract.
And talking about what you've created, we've got this fantastic Jubilee arch on the Town Hall here. Just tell me about that.
Yeah, the idea of the Jubilee arch goes back to the coronation of George V, and there's a description of 3 arches that were created in Pontefract. We felt we could replicate that. We could only do it, though, if people came together. So it's been community groups, Pontefract Art Club, and a local artist who's done some street art around the town. Rachel List has made a massive contribution. So community groups and schools, I should mention as well, have created their own board with the help of Rachel and the art club, and it's a fantastic celebration. It's a real focal point for the town.
And the town has got real history with the royals, hasn't it?
Yep. Going back to the Norman conquest, and Ilbert de Lacy, the family, were given lands here, created a wooden castle, then became a stone castle, and centuries later, royal castle. So visitors from various generations of the royal family have stayed at Pontefract Castle, have visited here on their way to and from Scotland, and Pontefract was a royal castle all the way through to the Civil War, and it's in the town's motto that the town was supporting King Charles I and was going to continue to support King Charles II, and even minted its own coins.
And it's certainly a great place for the Jubilee celebrations then. What do they mean to you?
Again, I come back to the community. It's about community coming together with businesses, with schools, as I've said, creating these decorations. The shops have done their shop windows for us and other businesses. We've had primary school pupils judging the windows, and we've presented some certificates. Events in the town centre, and we're working with Wakefield Council for additions to the Saturday market, where we'll be bringing in cars, bikes, some entertainment on a stage, and there's been events happening down at Pontefract Castle as well, so back to that royal connection.
Thanks so much, Paul. So Pontefract's certainly a great place to celebrate the Jubilee, and I'll be here all today giving you stories from the community and what's happening here.
I love it. I hope you're going to have bowls and bowls of Pontefract cakes to get stuck into, Anna.
Yeah, it's very famous for its cakes.
Ooh.
Well, definitely, I do like licorice.
Yeah, they're licorice sweets, really, aren't they?
Yeah, but they're lovely.
Very nice.
Very nice. Anna, thank you very much indeed. I love the fact that Paul there was saying it's all about bringing the community together, which is what the Queen's reflected on.
Yeah.
Actually.
And we've made it work for her, I think. I was just looking up George VI to see if what I said was right, whether he was the last king or queen to be emperor. And he was emperor of India.
Right.
It doesn't say here whether he was emperor of the British Empire. So I suppose the British Empire was beginning to break up by then anyway, but he was still emperor of India. But the Queen was never.
All right. Isn't that interesting? Yeah. Because I know it was Queen Victoria that they said the sun never set.
On the British Empire.
On the British Empire.
That's right.
She was empress.
She was Empress of India.
Yeah. times change for the better as far as that goes.
But maybe that's what does make the monarchy important and relevant, is that it just does give us a sense of our own history. And history is always important because it informs the future, as they say.
Yeah, no, quite right. Look, it's 17 minutes past 8. Let's bring you up to date with some of the headlines. And as we've been telling you today, the Queen is not going to attend the national service of Thanksgiving at St Paul's. The palace says although Her Majesty greatly enjoyed watching the fly past from the balcony yesterday, she was in a little bit of discomfort last night. She did manage, though, to light the first beacon yesterday evening, but today she has reluctantly decided to rest.
Elsewhere in the world, the US President Joe Biden has urged Congress to ban assault weapons and implement background checks in the wake of yet another mass shooting. This one was in Tulsa, Oklahoma. The suspect, named as Michael Lewis, opened fire at a hospital, killing 4 people, including 2 doctors. Several others were injured. He also killed himself then and left a letter at the scene.
British military intelligence says Russia controls 90% of the Luhansk region of Ukraine. The MOD thinks President Putin is likely to gain full control of the area in the next 2 weeks. As the conflict marks its 100th day, intelligence officials say Russia failed in its initial objective to seize the capital, Kyiv.
And the government wants to ditch what it's calling overbearing EU rules about imperial measurements. It's launched a consultation which may give traders more freedom to use pounds and ounces instead of kilos and grams when they're selling goods in the future.
I'm not convinced about the whole pounds and ounces thing. I've got to be honest. Sorry, Prime Minister.
I think the freedom to go either way.
I think the freedom... I know it was the EU sort of banned people from selling in pounds and ounces, which I don't think is the right thing to do. But about reintroducing it, I mean, I'm nearly 50 and I don't understand pounds and ounces, to be honest. I do everything in kilograms and grams. So I just don't get it.
But if I asked you how much you weighed, would you know in kilograms? If I asked you how tall you were, what would you say?
Centimetres.
Would you?
183 centimetres, yeah.
Really?
Yeah. I don't know how much I know I'm that 6 foot, but I don't know how much I weigh in stones and pounds.
If I say so-and-so down the road had a 4-kilo baby, would you think that was a big one or a small one?
Small one.
No, it's big.
Oh, is it?
It's a 10-pounder.
Oh, is it?
Yeah.
Oh, well, there you go.
See, but a 10-pounder.
Yeah.
It's just, I don't know. It probably is an age thing, isn't it? I mean, we have generations of people nowadays who've never worked in anything else, I suppose.
Yeah, so I don't know. Anyway,
See, if you asked me how tall I was, I would have to tell you feet and inches.
Would you?
Yeah. Or stones and pounds.
6'2".
Me? You?
You?
Yes, I'm definitely not 6'2".
We have to stand... When you do pictures, we have to stand you on a box.
Yeah, we do.
Yeah, we do.
Or I ask him to squat. It doesn't look good. It's not a good look.
Oh, dear. Now, as we all know, we're celebrating the Queen's Platinum Jubilee, 70 years on the throne, and it is something that is absolutely going to go down in
So we want to know your memories of what's been important to you about the Queen, and what was your favourite bit of yesterday? Just get in touch with us, do. gbviews@gbnews.uk.
Well, joining us now to reminisce about his own very precious memories is one of our viewers, Stephen Johnson. Good morning to you, Stephen. It's good to see you this morning.
Good morning.
I hope you enjoyed what we saw yesterday, but what do you look back on when it comes to the Queen?
Well, I remember, because I was very young, I was probably only not quite 3 years old, but I can remember we had a party in the old Victorian block of flats that we lived in. And I seem to remember they put a little stage up at one end, and my sister was up there singing at one time. My brother also got a nice model car given to him, but I think he really wanted the fire engine. I can remember him moaning about that. And I also remember a day or two later, the Queen processed, I think, around London. And I seem to remember sitting outside my cousin's window on the first floor, my mother holding me. And I could always remember the procession going by. And as a child, I always remember the funny things. There was a car going by with men with their trouser legs rolled up inside, pushing it along, with their legs. So, that's one thing I can remember. And there was a white van with SR toothpaste on. And
Yes.
That's me. Well, it's actually not me standing there. That's a boy. I'm the little boy on his own with a flag. But that's my sister holding the crown. She was left to look after me while my mother went and took my brother to work with her because she couldn't leave him with my sister because he used to play her about. So
we're looking at this lovely black and white picture. I presume this is a picture from a newspaper cutting, isn't it?
That's right, yeah. It's the Star. That was taken from the Star. I remember the reporter coming. We had a big archway that you led into the old block of flats. I mean, we still had gaslight at that time. But I remember him hanging outside one of the windows. And we also got little gifts given us. And this is, my mother kept that for us, a little dish. So and actually, I don't know if you can see that, but I'm the little boy. You got the wrong boy there. You got anyway, you got the wrong one. But that was a friend of mine that lived down below. But anyway, but yeah, that's all what I can really remember. And
do you remember there being a feeling of excitement? Did you understand what was going on?
Yes, as I say, we still had bomb sites all across the road from us as well, and it was like a beginning then. You know, it was like this Jubilee. It's hopefully now we'll get out of this pandemic and the problem over Brexit, and it felt like that then. You know, I remember from then on there was flats built there. You know, I remember my father working on them, so it seemed like a beginning. You know, because it wasn't long after the war, was it really? And we're still struggling. Well, so I'm hoping this happens now, actually. Sorry?
Well, let's hope you're right, Stephen. It's a really good way of looking at it. I'm sure. I mean, Her Majesty said, didn't she, in her message that it's time to look to the future with confidence and enthusiasm. I think she said so.
Yeah, and rather like you remember, there was something to celebrate after, obviously, the war, a period of terror for so many people and loss. And when you think of it, we're celebrating now the Queen's Platinum Jubilee after a period of terrible loss for so many coming out of a darkness of the pandemic and looking towards the future. And my goodness, we did it very brightly yesterday.
We did.
Also, another thing is a lot of people, since decimalisation, they'll have only seen the Queen on the coins, won't they? You know, I watched on Twitter, somebody was saying, what are they going to do, replace all the coins? And, of course, they wouldn't realise we had four monarchs on our coins. I can remember collecting Victorian coins from the change. So,
You're quite right. I hadn't thought of that. For a very long time, most of our currency has had her face on it, because it's so long since we had anyone else.
Yeah, so it's all.
But there was a time, I remember, you'd have those old little brown pennies and everything with King George's face on them. So that's fascinating. I hadn't thought of that.
Yeah.
Her face has been on our coins for 70 years.
You raised a very good point, Stephen. It's great to talk to you this morning. Thank you very much indeed.
Thank you.
Look, don't go anywhere. We've got lots more still to come for you in just a moment.
We are GB News.
We're right across this great nation.
On TV,
on radio, on digital.
Absolutely everywhere.
We don't talk down to you.
We embrace all voices.
With honest and civilised conversation.
we're not part of the establishment.
We're one of you.
And we're only getting started.
Join us on GB News,
the People's Channel.
Britain's news channel.
Every morning from 6 o'clock, we'll wake you up with GB News Breakfast with all the stories you didn't know from the night before.
So whether it's serious news, entertainment, or your own views from all over our great nation, we're here to kick off your day with a smile.
And the national media should be reflecting and reporting what's happening here.
You will notice the northwestern accents.
Whether you're with us on TV, radio, or online, every morning, it's breakfast from 6 a.m. Hope you can join us.
Join us for Ministry of Offence, the comedy panel show that's just like the news, in that the left fights the right and it doesn't really seem to matter who wins. We cover the big stories. It was, in fact, a troop of baboons and not angry vegans.
I like that.
And the really important stories.
Fat naked cow gets stuck in swimming pool.
It's a headline in a lot of local newspapers. Yeah.
We're on the same team, Nick. Yeah, but I'm just helping you.
Join us for Ministry of Offence, Saturday nights, 8 o'clock on GB News.
I'm Dan Wootton. Join me Monday to Thursday from 9 to 11 for the feistiest and most fun news debate on TV, where free speech reigns. I'll bring you a sharp take on the day's biggest stories, bombshell newsmaker interviews, and A-list guests. And I guarantee you, no spin, no bias, no censorship, and no reason to go to bed. That's Dan Wootton Tonight, Monday to Thursdays from 9 on GB News.
And a very good morning and welcome back. It's 28 minutes past 8. How about another good news story? International children's charity, Save the Children, has seen community fundraising increase tenfold throughout the pandemic and the current Ukraine crisis.
So what exactly has prompted this increase? Let's talk to community fundraising manager at Save the Children, Fidelma Meehan. Good morning to you. It's great to see you this morning. I mean, look, this is really positive news, but what do you think has driven it?
Good morning, Stephen. Good morning, Anne. Thank you so much. Well, really, what's behind part of this success is children power. Children actually have been rising and finding creative, inspirational ways to raise money for other children across the world. And this has been amazing. We've seen an 80% increase in child fundraising over the last year. I think they have been moved by the plight of other children and families in Ukraine, Afghanistan, and across the world.
It's amazing, because we've been through a tough time, and you might imagine that children, as well as lots of other people in the family, might be thinking of themselves and how to rebuild their own families and how to feel, normal again. And yet we appear to have a generation of children now who are thinking of others first.
They are, Anne, and this is really so inspiring and a great message of hope for the future. You were saying earlier about the Queen's words to look to the future with confidence and enthusiasm. And I think the children are actually giving us this message: we care, we want to do something. And they are turning to charities like Save the Children to channel that energy and that desire to make a difference. And they are telling us, I've spoken to many of them, they want to do it because they are, so upset by what they see on television, by what they see on the internet, by what they hear at school, and they just want to do something. And it's simple for them. They just want to act. So they do all kinds of amazing activities like running, triathlons, climbing, singing. A boy that made a wooden bowl that raised nearly £255,000.
Good Lord,
Wow.
That's incredible. Do you think it's anything to do with Greta Thunberg? Because she's, I know children before her and after have done amazing things, but she got global publicity for daring to stand up to an adult world and say, this isn't good enough, we kids can do better. Do you think it's anything to do with her? She must have been inspirational to so many youngsters.
She definitely was inspirational and continues to be an inspiration, Anne. And I think today's children feel they have a voice. They can find platforms for that voice, and they have a choice. They can choose to make a difference. And the research that Bean O'Brien did said that 79% of children in the UK today, aged between 7 and 14, want to make a difference. They want children in the other parts of the world to know they care. And they want to see that actually in caring, they can raise awareness and get their parents and their families behind them as well. And that's obviously part of the success of the child fundraiser. They bring their parents, their school, their communities with them. And that's why I think I've probably got one of the best jobs in the whole world, working for community fundraising and meeting these amazing people, these families, really.
Yeah, look, Fidelma, really good to talk to you this morning. Thank you. Let's meet one of those amazing people ourselves, Sienna, who's joined with her mum, Salwa, this morning and joins us now. Really good to see you this morning. Sienna, what are you doing to try and raise some money?
I'm running 1,000 miles for children in war-torn countries.
1,000 miles? What made you want to do that?
My mum, I felt really sad inside my heart for those children with no food, water, medical supplies or home, so I just wanted to help.
How did you know about that? I mean, have you been watching television news and things like that and thinking, I'd like to do something?
I saw a tear in my mum's eye whilst watching the news about them children with like no supplies or anything. So I just went up to bed and thought about how I can fundraise.
Wow, what do you make of this, Mom?
I'm really massively proud of her, obviously, because she's committed to 1,000 miles. She started it on the 29th of March last year, 2021, and she runs a mile every day after school or in the holidays in the morning.
Wow.
Oh, that is brilliant. Well done. And how are you actually managing to raise the money? Are you getting people to sponsor you? How are you doing it?
We've got a Just Giving link called Just Giving My Little Heart to Yours. We've called it My Little Heart to Yours because it's Sienna's little heart reaching out to all the little hearts around the world, really, who are in need. So we called it My Little Heart to Yours. There's a website. My brothers were kind enough to give their time for free, and we called the website My Little Heart to Yours, running 1,000 miles for Save the Children.
But why do you think, Sienna, it's important to think about other people?
It's just, well, they don't have any food and like we don't, so we do, and we can share our money for them so they can get some supplies.
And when will you actually reach the 1,000-mile target?
I think like July.
July?
Oh,
So
right.
you're already nearly there. And you're doing a mile a day after school. God, that must make it very tiring doing your homework.
We're on 787.
Oh, wow. What does it feel like, Sienna, to know that you're 3/4 of the way there?
Great. Yeah, just great and happy that I'm doing it.
Fantastic.
Well, you're inspirational, and I think that's really brilliant. And Mum as well. I mean, the children come up with these ideas, but families need to help them achieve that, and I'm sure you're all doing your bit. Really well done, and I hope it continues with you through your life. I'm sure it will if you're determined enough to do something. How old are you, Sienna?
Yeah, I'm 10 years old.
Yeah.
And I started when I was 9 years old.
If you've got the courage and foresight to do something so brilliant at 10, I wonder what sort of a person you're going to be like in 10 years' time.
Oh, I wonder. Someone impressive, I'm
you.
sure.
Thank you.
Sienna, Salwa, good to talk to you both this morning. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you for having us on your show. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much.
Very welcome.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Oh, what she talked about seeing a tear in her mum's eye.
Yeah, wanting to dry it.
That's really impressive.
You can't knock that.
But isn't it lovely to hear that so many youngsters... I mean, because when they announced the Queen's Birthday Honours, there were the 2 youngest ever recipients of an honour like that. And they were youngsters who'd just gotten off their backsides and done amazing things.
For NHS, they were twins. I think they were about 11 or something.
Yeah.
They raised £50,000 for NHS charities.
And they're not alone, because we get stories nearly every day of young people who've thought of doing something and not just talking about it, they've actually done it, which is brilliant.
Good on them.
See?
Lovely stuff. Look, don't go anywhere. We've got plenty more to come for you, including catching up with our reporter Jeff Moody, who, if you're in Cornwall, might just be on your doorstep this morning.
We are GB News.
We're right across this great nation.
On TV,
on radio, on digital.
Absolutely everywhere.
We don't talk down to you.
We embrace all voices.
With honest and civilised conversation.
we're not part of the establishment.
We're one of you.
And we're only getting started.
Join us on GB News,
The People's Channel.
Britain's news channel.
Every morning from 6 o'clock, we'll wake you up with GB News Breakfast with all the stories you didn't know from the night before.
So whether it's serious news, entertainment, or your own views from all over our great nation, we're here to kick off your day with a smile.
The national media should be reflecting and reporting what's happening here.
You will notice the northwestern accents.
Whether you're with us on TV, radio, or online, every morning, it's breakfast from 6 a.m. Hope you can join us.
Join us for Ministry of Offence, the comedy panel show that's just like the news, in that the left fights the right and it doesn't really seem to matter who wins. We cover the big stories. It was in fact a troop of baboons and not angry vegans.
I like that.
And the really important stories.
Fat naked cow gets stuck in swimming pool.
It's a headline in a lot of local newspapers. Yeah.
We're on the same team, Nick. Yeah, but I'm just helping you.
Join us for Ministry of Offence, Saturday nights, 8 o'clock on GB News.
I'm Dan Wootton. Join me Monday to Thursday from 9 to 11 for the feistiest and most fun news debate on TV, where free speech reigns. I'll bring you a sharp take on the day's biggest stories, bombshell newsmaker interviews, and A-list guests. And I guarantee you, no spin, no bias, no censorship, and no reason to go to bed. That's Dan Wootton tonight, Monday to Thursdays from 9 on GB News.
It is 8:38 morning to you. You're watching or listening, or perhaps both, to Breakfast with Stephen and Anne. You could have the TV and the radio on at the same time.
You could.
There might be a bit of a lag, I don't know.
Anyway, it's nice. It's not, and we want to hear your views. Don't forget to get in touch. We do love to know what you're thinking. Jill says, morning, Anne and Stephen. Do you agree with me that the Platinum Jubilee has lifted the mood of the whole country?
Yeah.
Yesterday, my parents would have been married 70 years. And I spent the day with my mum, who remembers Coronation Day in 1953 as clearly as if it were yesterday. Thank you for a great show and have a good weekend too.
Yeah.
Do you know, as well, watching the Queen on the balcony and watching her become a little more frail and leaning on her stick and everything reminds you of your own parents, doesn't it, a lot? Because my mum was born exactly the same year as the Queen as well. And although she's no longer with us, sadly, the Queen is, and you look at her and think...
Yeah.
It just makes gives you that sense of older people and family, doesn't it?
Yeah. Oh, that's nice. Clive says, so good to see you guys on the TV this morning. Love the show, thank you. I was on my own yesterday and watched GB News all day. It was great. I did start off on another channel, but didn't like it. So I stayed with what I know and trust. Well, that's nice to know. Very emotional at times. I don't mind saying I had a little cry. And that's fair, that's fair enough, Clive. I can understand a lot of people doing that, actually.
Yeah. Well, I did. I started off the day... You know how when there's an enormous royal event or something like that, you tend to think the BBC is going to be the go-to place to watch anything, but just because of tradition, because it used to always be, I have to say, GB News. So outdid every other channel, because I was channel hopping. I'm a professional. I was just interested to see who's got what. I have to say GB News was out and above the best. No doubt about it. And I was objective yesterday. I wasn't part of the team yesterday. I was at home.
Yes.
And it was lovely. So there you are.
It's as well you said that, Anne, as I was on.
Yeah. That too.
Well, I'd be worried.
No, but it's nice, isn't it? If you're watching, it's nice to have an objective opinion that still sort of goes with the flow. Stephen says, good morning, Stephen and Anne. I am intrigued to know what on earth is that machine between the pair of you that you seem to be fiddling with.
It controls the words. There it is.
Yeah.
Oh, there you go.
We're meant to hide it. The boss doesn't like us.
The boss doesn't like seeing it, but it's too big to hide. Sorry, boss.
Yeah.
It's but we have words that we can follow, and it twiddles them up and down.
Yeah.
It's
so we know where we are in the programme. Otherwise, we wouldn't know what was coming next.
No. As I can tell you, because it says right in front of me, let's take a look at today's front pages. So let's do that, should we? The Times says a beaming Queen gets her party started as the first day of Jubilee celebrations began yesterday.
Yeah, the Express says incredible, showing an image of the mole packed with crowds.
The Mirror says, wow, what a racket, great granny. Gang they call her, apparently.
Really?
As Prince Louis covers his ears for the fly pass.
Oh, that's a good subject. What do you call your gran? Anyway, The Eye calls her a history maker as she becomes the first British monarch to mark 70 years on the throne.
Oh.
That's a good one, though, to ask you is, what do you call grandma in your family? Because lots of grandmas have funny names, don't they?
Yeah.
Gang is quite a well-known one. I mean, there's the nanas, and my mum was known as Bobo to my children. Bobo.
Oh.
Don't know why.
I had Nana and Grandma.
Yeah, but then if you have two sets, you often call one set Nana and Grandpa, or Gran and Grandpa, or whatever.
Yeah.
Anyway, if you've got an unusual name for Grandma, do let us know. Great Grandma she is as well to Louis.
Yes. Let's find out what
Great gang.
Butterworth of The Eye and journalist and broadcaster Nabila Ramdani make of it all. Good to see you both as well. I'm going to ask you, Nabila, in France, then, what do you call a grandmother or...
Grand-mère.
Grand-mère. Mm-hmm.
Sounds very nice, actually.
That sounds very formal. There must be shorter versions.
I called my mum Maman and my grandmother Mama.
Mama. Oh, that's interesting.
That's quite nice.
What about you? Did you?
Grandma.
Yeah.
She's watching today, Myrna. She's watching.
Morning,
Excellent.
Grandma.
Morning, grandmas everywhere. And
Yes.
particularly great grandmas as well.
Nabila, Harry and Meghan in the Mail.
Yes, indeed. Harry and Meghan's comeback, public comeback anyway, since their decision to leave the UK in 2018, but no sign of peace yet. That's what Richard Kay writes about in the Mail. There was always going to be questions about whether the Sussexes' comeback would, they would hijack the limelight or upstage anyone. And I have to say, they came across very much as a very small sideshow. And as Richard writes in the Mail, they still managed to edge into sight through an open window where they had a VIP viewing of the trooping of the colour from the Horse Guards parade. They were pictured offering a playful shush as they knelt down to share jokes with Princess Anne's grandchildren.
But don't you feel that's a bit mealy-mouthed of Richard Kay in the Mail? He's sort of pointing out that they were lurking in the shadows, and yet if they hadn't lurked in the shadows, he'd be criticising them for coming out.
Well, technically, they were banned from being inside for the balcony ceremony and the trooping of the colour. So it was very, they were, I think, quite rightly kept away from the main event. Let's not forget they're not working royals anymore in any shape or form. On the contrary, they made very damaging public comments against an institution and indeed against the royal family itself. So I have no personal opinion on either of them as people, but I feel like if you have attacked an institution, and it seems absurd then to turn up and pretend that you're there to support it. And at the most basic level, the claims or the allegations of racism they have made, they have not substantiated them with any evidence so far. So I think it's quite fitting that they should withdraw those accusations in order to be back in the fold in some way.
I just think it's. I mean, he sort of says, they sort of got snuck into the limelight in a very small way. Well, only if you're a photographer with a massive lens on your camera.
Well, it was a small way because they are, in the end, inconsequential pictures. They look rather awkward. They're effectively being put at the children's table.
Oh, no, I thought it was all right, that.
Well, they come across as kids themselves playing with the kids. If you are making such a comeback as an influencer and fly all the way from California to attend such massive celebrations, you want to be with the adults. But I think it's fair to say that the adults were quite legitimately jittery at the thought of speaking to them because they might be quite worried about whatever they tell them, that it will end up being sold on a TV interview or as part of a Netflix and Spotify deal, I'm afraid.
And I think, maybe the picture at the window that you saw in the Mail is understandable, but there's this other photograph of Meghan in a car, and the window is pulled down and she leans right into the window so all the photographers can get the photograph of her being in London. Now, you remember they wouldn't come back to this country because they said they didn't feel secure. It was absurd when it was the Duke of Edinburgh's memorial, as if, all the heads of state of European monarchies were there. I'm sure they would have been safe. But I tell you what, if they were that worried about security, she wouldn't have rolled the window down in public. It would seem pretty clear she was doing that to make sure photographers got the image of her in London.
Oh, I don't know. I'm not that cynical.
It's quite ironic that they were pictured telling the children to shut up when they have been told to shut up for months.
Oh, that's a good one, yes. True. It's very difficult to know, isn't it, whether to sort of forgive and forget. You don't mind forgiving and forgetting as long as they don't do any more. And I suppose
as long as there is some contrition.
And that's the thing, let's not forget, Prince Harry has a book coming out later this year. So maybe the Queen is hoping that this can iron out some of the problems and maybe he won't be as remarkable as he could be in that book. But the other story I've got here is that one person that wasn't invited was Kim Kardashian. I don't know if you've seen that.
I saw
She wasn't invited?
No.
Well, thank heavens for that.
She asked for an invitation, didn't she?
She did. So you've got the big concert at the outside Buckingham Palace on Saturday night, and you've got Diana Ross, Elton John, all those performing. And Kim Kardashian and her comedian boyfriend asked for tickets. They've flown into London for this week, and they were told, no, you can't come. So you know, Meghan's, I guess she's the only American that's getting anywhere near.
The palace
Why
have probably
would you-
never heard of her.
Why would you have the nerve to do that? I can't understand the gall of some people.
It's because they understand it as a showbiz event, I suppose, don't they?
Yeah.
So they think, you know, we're on the A-list, why shouldn't we be there?
Yeah.
But I think, you know, this idea of the royal family looking like the Kardashians, which is kind of what Harry and Meghan have done to it a little bit with the Netflix and Spotify and the rest of it, you can understand why the royals wanted to be a million miles from that. You know, there are plenty of celebrities that are welcome to attend that. You know, Julie Andrews will be in the audience, all sorts.
Oh,
she?
she gave a lovely video message as well
Did
to the
she?
Queen.
Oh, I
yeah.
love Julie Andrews.
I know. She gave a lovely video message to the Queen.
Nice.
It was really moving.
But
I feel like bursting into song.
I know,
there.
absolutely.
I should-
Dame Mary Poppins.
I should sing at a street party,
Yes,
Benjamin.
exactly. Apparently, there are 70,000 street parties planned over this 4 days, yesterday and the coming 3, of which 10 million people will attend. And you've got ones. There's one in Morecambe where there'll be 5,000 people along the seafront with 500 tables.
They know how to do it in Morecambe.
Yeah, exactly. Is that where you're from?
Well, not far away.
That neck of woods. You've got them all over the country, and I just think, you know, I said it in the first 6:31 we did, but. You know, in many ways, the idea of the monarchy and the Queen is ridiculous. Of course it is. If you write it down on paper, you'd think, what on earth are you thinking? But it is basically the only thing that will get all these communities around the country, 70,000 streets.
That's true.
Over this weekend,
Yeah.
will have the elderly and the young and the often lonely sat together.
They wouldn't do
sharing
it for a
cucumber
Prime Minister or a
sandwich.
President, would they?
No, and you wouldn't even do it for something like the Olympics, right? You wouldn't get this scale of community. And, you know, the whole thing might be ridiculous, but I think for that joy itself,
It's
worth it.
melodramatic, but it's meant to rise above politics, to unite people.
Yeah.
That's the thing, I think, rising above, because everything else in society and how we're ruled and governed is split, isn't it? You know, it's people vote. If you happen to vote for the party that's in power, well, great, but lots of people don't, of course.
Well, that's right. You have to like the royal family because nobody voted for
No one
them.
voted for them.
And you're right about the history thing, because there are 2 people left in this country who are Edwardians, and I tried to interview them both.
What?
Sadly, one of them was sick. There are 2 women, Ethel and Rose, who were born under Edward VII.
Wow.
So that's the grandfather of the one who abdicated.
Yeah.
They both live in Surrey. And
Well, how old must they be?
112, about to turn 113.
Wow.
So there are 2 Edwardians still alive today who have seen 5 monarchs.
That is amazing.
It really is.
I was talking to one of our guests yesterday down at the Palace, so you think the Queen's been on the throne for 70 years. The British monarchy stretches 1,000 years, give or take. So she has been our Queen for nearly 10% of the history of the British monarchy.
Yes,
Which,
That's
I mean,
extraordinary
it's
as well, isn't it?
remarkable. I mean, what a wonderful legacy. And, you know, it's just so important to celebrate and honour her, because she's quite an impressive leader in many respects. And that's why we've seen world leaders actually paying, you know, the most sincere tributes to her for her years, decades of devotion and indeed service. She sets a remarkable example, it has to be said.
Yeah, it's extraordinary, isn't it? You know, you think about how old Joe Biden is, right? He's the oldest US president ever. Well,
76?
yeah, 76, 77, right? And he was obviously 6 or 7 when he won't even remember
that's
a
right.
world in which the Queen wasn't the Queen.
Yeah.
I mean, that's extraordinary longevity. She's been Queen for about the third of the length that the USA has existed, right? It's absurd when you put it in proportion.
That is weird.
Crazy.
Yeah.
Oh,
Apart from anything else, she's allowed us to talk about good news almost entirely throughout the programme this morning and all of yesterday. And we need that sometimes, don't
Sometimes
we?
we
We
just
know
do.
there are terrible things happening in the world and, you know, cost of living crises and all the rest of it. But you can submerge yourself too much in doom and gloom. And the Queen has lifted us well above all that.
She has.
Just for a while.
She has. Look, we've got to leave it there, Nabila. Benjamin, thank you both
Thank you
very much indeed.
Yeah.
Just very quickly run you through a couple of headlines, and the Queen will not attend today's National Service of Thanksgiving at St Paul's. The Palace says Her Majesty greatly enjoyed the fly past from the balcony yesterday, but it did leave her in some discomfort. She did last night manage the first beacon, but has reluctantly decided that today she needs to rest.
British military intelligence says Russia now controls 90% of the Luhansk region in Ukraine. The MOD believes President Putin is likely to gain full control of the area in the next 2 weeks. As the conflict now marks its 100th day, intelligence officials say Russia failed in its initial objective to seize the capital, Kiev.
The government wants to ditch what it's calling overbearing EU rules about imperial measurements. It's launched a consultation which may give traders more freedom to use pounds and ounces instead of kilos and grams when selling their goods.
And Amber Heard plans to appeal the decision that she defamed ex-husband Johnny Depp. One of her attorneys says Heard has apparently excellent grounds for the appeal, adding there was so much evidence that was not included during the trial. A jury awarded Depp $10 million in damages.
Time now for On Your Doorstep.
And our reporter Jeff Moody has been travelling all the way to Launceston in Cornwall to see what people are doing there to celebrate this amazing weekend. Let's see what he's up to right now and where he is.
Well, I was looking for redemption and I think I've found it. I'm here outside St Mary's Church in Launceston. They're making a bit of a racket inside. I think they're probably rehearsing for today, the biggest day. If you're a bell ringer, today is the day you've been waiting for a very long time. Let's go and see if I can meet the team. Morning, everyone. Can I interrupt you for a second? You're live on GB News. Fancy that. Big day for bell ringers, isn't it?
It is, yes. I think it's really nice to be part of something, you know, not just in the community, but also kind of countrywide.
So what time are you ringing? From when until when?
So we are ringing at 11:15 till 11:30, which coincides with the service at St Paul's.
Absolutely. And all the bells across the country ringing at the same time. It should be a fantastic thing. How long have you been bell ringing then?
Funnily enough, I've just picked up my 40-year service certificate.
40 years?
Yes, yeah.
Does that mean you've got very strong arms?
Yeah.
What makes you do it?
I just enjoy it. It's a good community thing to do, good for the church. It's a family thing, really. My family did it before me, and I thoroughly enjoy it.
So it's been passed down the generations.
It has, yeah.
Bit of a skill, though, is it not?
There's a lot of hand-eye coordination needed to make it sound really nice.
Hand-eye coordination. Coordination.
That's the one.
See,
yeah.
that was that half a lager that I had earlier on at 8 o'clock in the morning. Any musicality? Do you need to be someone? Do you need to know a lot about music in order to make it work?
It's just working out where your place is and then adjusting to suit the music, really.
Ah, okay. And when it comes to actually pulling the ropes, is there a technical term for it? Just pulling the ropes?
Just pulling the ropes.
Pulling the ropes. What secrets have you got for me? What can you tell me to make sure I can do it right?
I can let you chime the bell. I'm not going to let you ring the bell when it's up, but you can certainly chime the bell.
You're going to let me chime the bell? Okay, right. Well, you hold the mic. We'll swap jobs. And so what do I need to do? Give me some tips.
Hands together.
Right.
Pull the rope a little bit.
Yeah.
And keep jerking it.
Keep jerking it?
Keep jerking it, and it'll make the clapper sound within the bell.
So, like that?
Yeah, a bit harder. Not so far.
Hey.
Well done.
Ah! Am I supposed to jump up in the air like this?
No, your feet must stay on the ground.
Right. So you jerk it like that?
Yeah.
Ah!
Yeah.
I think I got a new career. Does it pay well?
No.
Oh. Right, well, we'll come back to you then in a couple of hours and watch you ringing the bells as we're linked into the St Paul's service. But for now, before I get too caught up in the bells, back to you guys. Thank
you. Lovely stuff, Jeff. Thank you.
Have you ever done that?
No. Campanology did a
I was half expecting to see Jeff just disappear out of shot.
Yeah, no, I've never done it though. It looks fun.
It does look fun, yeah, terrifically. A very old-fashioned thing to find fun, but it really is.
Yeah. Oh, well, look, don't go anywhere. We've got plenty more to come for you, including, of course, lots more on the Jubilee celebrations. But looking ahead to the weather, and the UK's looking showery across Northern Ireland, southwest Scotland, northwest England and North Wales this morning, brighter elsewhere.
By noon, much of the southwest of England will hold on to dry weather, although Cornwall and West Devon will have the best of the sunshine with more cloud.
At the southeast will be generally fine. There'll be some warm spells of hazy sunshine, lifting temperatures into the low 20s.
Whilst showers continue to affect northern parts of Wales, more southern areas should end the morning mostly dry, albeit with a fair amount of cloud around.
Now, the Midlands will also see quite a bit of cloud. There'll be an increasing chance of 1 or 2 showers as well breaking out, I'm afraid to say. Nonetheless, it is going to stay pretty warm.
Inland parts of the northeast of England will also have a few showers, and although it will be drier and locally brighter towards the coast, there'll be a cool breeze blowing in off the North Sea.
Now, the far east and northeast of Scotland are going to be rather cloudy and cool. Southwestern areas are going to have showers. For central and northwestern areas, though, fine with some warm sunshine.
A few bright spells are likely across Northern Ireland, but there'll also be a scattering of showers, giving a rather changeable theme to the weather there.
So during the afternoon and early evening, showers continuing in the west. Elsewhere, mainly dry with some sunshine.
We are GB News.
We're right across this great nation.
On TV, on radio, on digital.
Absolutely everywhere.
We don't talk down to you.
We embrace all voices.
With honest and civilised conversation.
We're not part of the establishment.
We're one of you.
And we're only getting started.
Join us on GB News,
The People's Channel.
Britain's news channel.
Every morning from 6 o'clock, we'll wake you up with GB News Breakfast with all the stories you didn't know from the night before.
So whether it's serious news, entertainment, or your own views from all over our great nation, we're here to kick off your day with a smile.
The national media should be reflecting and reporting what's happening here.
You will notice the northwestern accents.
Whether you're with us on TV, radio, or online, every morning, it's breakfast from 6 a.m. Hope you can join us.
Join us for Ministry of Offence, the comedy panel show that's just like the news, in that the left fights the right and it doesn't really seem to matter who wins. We cover the big stories. It was in fact a troop of baboons and not angry vegans.
I like that.
And the really important stories.
Fat naked cow gets stuck in swimming pool.
It's a headline in a lot of local newspapers. Yeah.
We're on the same team, Nick. Yeah, but I'm just helping you.
Join us for Ministry of Offence, Saturday nights, 8 o'clock on GB News.
I'm Dan Wootton. Join me Monday to Thursday from 9 to 11 for the feistiest and most fun news debate on TV, where free speech reigns. I'll bring you a sharp take on the day's biggest stories, bombshell newsmaker interviews, and A-list guests. And I guarantee you, no spin, no bias, no censorship, and no reason to go to bed. That's Dan Wootton tonight, Monday to Thursdays from 9 on GB News.
A service of thanksgiving is going to take place at St Paul's Cathedral this morning as part of the Platinum Jubilee celebrations. The Queen will be present. No, the Queen will not be present because she is remaining at Windsor Castle.
Good morning to you. It is 9 o'clock on Friday, the 3rd of June. It is, of course, the Jubilee Bank Holiday weekend, and this is Breakfast on GB News with Stephen and Dan.
And of course, it's your views that matter to us and what you thought of yesterday. What was your favourite bit? We are the People's Channel, live across the whole of the UK on your TV, your radio and online. So here's what you're waking up to if you've just woken up.
The Queen has pulled out of attending a special service of Thanksgiving at St Paul's after experiencing discomfort while watching yesterday's parade at Buckingham Palace.
And later this hour, we're going to speak to the soldiers who have released a special tribute single for the Jubilee entitled Her Majesty the Queen.
Always there by our nation's side. Always there like a loyal friend.
Well, elsewhere in the news, and today marks 100 days since the start of the war in Ukraine. The UN now thinks there have been nearly 8,000 civilian casualties since the war started.
odd, isn't it, that there are certain things that are awful happening in the world. And yesterday we were all pomp and jubilation, but it did give the country a really feel-good feeling. And I think, especially after the pandemic and everything, we needed it, didn't we? Don't forget you can get in touch with us and give us your views on that by emailing us gbviews@gbnews.uk.
It's lovely, actually, that people, I mean, of course, celebrating up and down the length and breadth of the country, but further afield as well. I've got to say morning to Kerry, who says, I'm watching you from Napier in New Zealand. Literally the other side of the world. Wonderful to see all the celebrations and the people of Great Britain sharing these special moments. Thank you for sharing these remarkable images. And it is lovely to think that this is a global event now.
Yes, I think that's truly amazing. You might have been forgiven for thinking it was just about GB yesterday, but clearly all over the world people were celebrating. Anne says, I was involved in several royal visits whilst I was in the police service, involved with Her Majesty the Queen, Prince Philip, Charles, Diana and Princess Anne, until unfortunately on the recce for one of the Queen's visits I was injured and I had to finish my working life. I have mobility problems, but nothing would prevent me from celebrating this historical period in our history.
It really is history. I mean, that's the thing. It is a moment of history. It's going to be one of those points where we say, where were you on the day of the Platinum Jubilee when it was officially marked yesterday?
And earlier in the programme, we heard from a viewer whose granddaughter was born, or daughter.
Oh, granddaughter.
They're calling her Elizabeth. She was born yesterday.
Elizabeth Jean. That's from Shirley.
Yeah.
Yeah. Elizabeth Jean was born at Peterborough Hospital yesterday.
And you'll
5 p.m.
always be able to tell her she was born on Platinum Jubilee Day.
Oh, it's lovely.
After the Queen.
Lovely. Well, it was a truly special day of celebrations yesterday, but the Palace has confirmed the Queen is going to miss the service at St Paul's today after experiencing discomfort while watching yesterday's events.
Yeah, well, the official statement said the Queen greatly enjoyed today's birthday parade and flypast, but did experience some discomfort. Taking into account the journey and activity required to participate in tomorrow's national service of Thanksgiving at St Paul's, Her Majesty, with great reluctance, has concluded that she will not attend.
Oh, in spite of those issues, Her Majesty was able to take part in the beacon lighting ceremony last night, beginning the tradition of the public setting alight smaller beacons up and down the nation.
The service at St Paul's in central London will give thanks for the Queen's 7 decades as monarch, with the Prince of Wales, Duchess of Cornwall, as well as the Duke and Duchess of Cambridge all attending.
Prince Andrew is not going to be there. He's not been seen at any events. The Palace says he's tested positive for COVID.
As has the Archbishop of Canterbury, who's also going to miss the service. The Archbishop of York, instead, Stephen Cottrell, will take charge.
Well, let's have a look through the big moments of yesterday and what we can expect over the weekend. Royal broadcaster and commentator Angela Levin and royal photographer Helen Ashard. Good to see you both this morning. Thank you very much indeed. Angela, what was your highlight yesterday?
I had so many highlights. I can't go through them all. I'll be here all day. It was just overwhelmingly wonderful, actually. When I got to... dropped off by the taxi driver near the palace because all the roads were blocked. I couldn't believe there were so many thousands of people there. And they were young and they were from all different nationalities. And it was just so relieving that the mood was so warm. And I chatted to a few because I had to try and get my way through to get my accreditation. And they were all very positive about it. They all felt, you know, after the pandemic, we were so lonely, we were so cut off, and now we've got this wonderful experience, and it was just joyful, and the sun was shining. The only problem for me, rather than the key moments, was that when the flypast went by, and the noise of these old planes, I was bending down as if they were going to fall out the sky because they were, they looked so heavy. I couldn't see how they could stand up.
Yeah, but particularly the wartime flight, the Lancaster and the Spitfires.
Yes.
The sound of their engines it rattles your ribcage.
Yes,
doesn't it?
It's really terrifying. But otherwise, and of course the 3 little children who were so well behaved. I mean, Louis was a star of the show, we have to say. But you know, when they drove in the carriage with their mother and Camilla opposite, just to make sure everything was okay, when they went past the colour, they bent their heads over as they knew.
Did they?
Yes, and they were the right number, and they, you know, a couple of eyes looking up and then sitting up again. And I thought that was so enchanting because they were so much a part of it. They weren't just coming for a ride, they were a part of it. They've been brought up to know that this is what they had to do. And I thought it was wonderful. And I thought the smiles from the Queen were wonderful to see again, those real huge beams that she gives us. And I thought she was incredibly brave when, in the evening, she came out despite feeling a lot of discomfort.
She looked more stooped in the evening, didn't she?
Did.
She looked a little bit more frail and
but
tired.
She still did it. She reached over, touched the button, and then all the lights came on. And tears came to my eyes, actually, because I thought, you know, she's kept her word, because one of the quotes that she likes to say is that, I don't want to let anybody down. And she obviously felt that last night she could not let us down because it was so overwhelming, all those people.
Because she must have had a tiring day anyway. But by the time she lit that beacon, which was, about 9:45 or something last evening, and I was ready for bed, I know, never mind her, I just like to think that she thought, right, I'll do it, I'll touch the thing, I'll set the beacon off, and then I hope somebody inside the doorway sort of said, come this way, you know, I've got a nice gin and tonic for you, or a cup of cocoa or something, and took her up and put her to bed.
She's a Dubonnet woman.
Is she Dubonnet? Is she?
Yes.
Dubonnet and
Gin and
lemonade?
Dubonnet.
Is it gin and Dubonnet?
Isn't it?
Gin and
I heard
Dubonnet.
whiskey,
Oh.
I thought.
Well, okay.
I hope they gave her whatever her tipple is, and then, you know, gave her a dressing gown and got her off to bed, because you just felt, you know, she's done her bit for the day.
But she must feel terrible if she's not going to St Paul's, because she's a devoted Christian, and this was one of the things, was going to be the main thing that she wanted to attend to. So if she can't really go to that, that's a great pity, but she's absolutely right not to, because she shouldn't overtax herself. At this age, she shouldn't do that.
No, she's got to be sensible.
What did you think of yesterday? Because one of the key things, and it's, I mean, especially in this age, but, you know, having the right images of such a historic occasion is sort of so important, isn't it? They open up a new world for us in 10, 20 years down the line.
I mean, absolute historic day. So, I mean, I was snapping away. In fact, I was working with you guys yesterday, and it was a brilliant. I saw Angela as well. It was an absolutely fantastic spot.
How long is your lens?
It's about that. it's huge. So I was snapping. It was an amazing day. It was just beautiful.
I want to know given the fact that we all have cameras nowadays and we could all point it in one direction if the Queen's on the balcony, what makes a good photograph of the Queen? And what makes it different from the sort of one that I would take, which would, you know... I'm getting out the Daily Telegraph.
Oh, wow, look
I
at that
cannot
one.
believe how beautiful this image is. And, of course, what they've done is they've looked at the image and they've played it big. Really, really big. Isn't that an unbelievable image?
I love the finger.
That's lovely.
Yeah.
And the smile, the finger going up. It's sort of...
If you're listening on the radio, it's on page 3 of the Telegraph. It is the most stunning picture.
Page.
It's full page, and it's just, and the high definition of it, you can see every wrinkle. I'm sad to say.
Super lens.
But
yeah. So
what makes a stunningly good picture of the Queen?
You want to get emotion. So to get the Queen smiling is beautiful, isn't it? And everyone wants that. And to actually have the Queen looking at the lens is fabulous. I mean, a lot of the time I'm seeing all her emotions or how she's feeling through this long lens, so it's amazing what you can see. But to get her, I mean, she's very controlled, which is lovely, and that's why we love her as well. But that, when she's having her fun moments and her jokes, and you get that glint in the eye.
It's the thing, isn't it,
really
for
lovely.
professional photographers, because as Anne says, we all snap away, especially with our phones at the minute. We all snap away and all get some nice pictures, but it's when you see an image that actually has depth to it, it conveys a feeling. That's something very special.
That's it. It's the emotion. It brings the emotion.
I've got another one. I don't know if our lovely director can pick this one up as well. But this, to me, shows... this is a Daily Mail supplement today, which is showing off some of the best ever pictures. I'll just keep holding it while we go close. But basically, it's the Queen in between two horses. And that's when she comes to life. She's laughing her head off there at whatever is going on, but she's in between two guardsmen on horses, and it's often her with horses. And
yes. Can I say something slightly differently? That I thought tomorrow was the beginning of a new era with the monarchy, in the fact that they were going to be much more relaxed. They were going to be much more accessible, and they want to have ordinary people around them. And I think Prince Charles and the Duchess of Cornwall coming out, which nobody knew, and it was decided the last minute, and started talking to people who were waiting for the Queen. They were like ordinary people shaking hands and laughing with them. And I thought, that was completely unexpected. And then them appearing in EastEnders, where they did about 15 minutes of acting that they were themselves. And the cast did acting as if they were themselves. It was hilarious. And I think that there is this new, more intimacy, less aloofdom. Not that I'm criticising the Queen in any way, but I think that it's moving as we move, that you feel you want to communicate with people. And I thought that making people standing there not knowing, and there were a couple of middle-aged people, and when they just walked past them, they jumped up and down. I can't believe it. They were jumping up and down like children, and because they were so excited that they actually came to shake their hands and have a little chat. And I think that is marking a new era.
There is a magic about the Royals, isn't there, Helena?
There's a complete magic about it, and we couldn't lose it. We couldn't lose that special. I mean, I work with different broadcasters, and one particular, USA Global TV, and they absolutely adore our history, and they will stand outside the palace and want to meet all our royals. It's special. They want to have what we've got.
You were talking about the fact that you've got this amazing long lens and everything. When the Queen is out and about, does she ever look at your camera? Or does she glance past the cameras? Or can she sometimes just look down the lens for you?
She can sometimes, depending on an event, if it's a charitable event or something like that, not such a big public event, yes, you can get that. But on the whole, you can imagine what it's like when you're faced with lots of cameras and, I don't know, public events, iPads and, so you can get good things. But as you said, obviously we're in this different world, aren't we? And in a way that all the royals have to evolve a bit more. Yes. And I think be more relatable maybe to the younger generation. So it's a good move, but you're not going to get that complete transition. And you want to keep that air of mystery.
It's a hint. Well, I think you could do both. I mean, nobody felt that they were just one of them, but they just felt that they were being friendly towards them. And I think that's a difference. And I think that's something we need, because people want to know about them in a way that they just didn't try to know before. Who's paying for Harry and Meghan's car, for example. We want to know that.
Well, some do. The nosier ones of us, Angela, wants to know. On that point, we've got to leave it there.
Our money keeps them going.
Well, maybe not now. I don't know.
Well, that's why we need to know.
Yeah, well, maybe so.
You're not as cynical as we are, are you?
I'm not as cynical, no. Helena, Angela, thank you.
Thank you so much. Yeah, great.
Thank you.
I'm very forgiving.
Yeah, just as long as that's justified.
Well,
you don't know whether it's justified to forgive, do you?
Well, no, but you should do it anyway.
Well, maybe you should. You're the nicer person.
I'm getting all religious in my old age.
You are, stop it.
It's true. Now, wherever you are in the country this morning, if you step outside, you'll soon be able to hear the beautiful sound of bells ringing in your local church tower.
Yeah, to mark the Queen's Platinum Jubilee, thousands of ringers, literally thousands, are going to play in honour of the incredible rain. The music is going to culminate at around 11:30 when a special service at St Paul's Cathedral begins. Well, our reporter Will Hollis is at All Saints Church in Kempston in Bedfordshire this morning. Hello there, Will. So are they going to ring the bells around you quite soon?
Good morning. Yes, there will be bell ringing very shortly. Where we are right now in Kempston in Bedfordshire, right now, though, you'll be able to hear the morning birds chattering away. We have come to Bedfordshire for one very special reason. We could go anywhere in the country and speak to people who are ringing bells, but there was one person that lives here that has actually rang the bells for all of the Queen's special celebrations over the whole of her 70-year reign. Cliff Izzard from Kempston, you first rang the bells here way back in 1952 for the coronation. Yeah. Did you ever think that you'd spend your lifetime ringing for the Queen?
Not really, no. That's a bit of a long time, really, isn't it? Yeah. No,
how did you come to first do this?
I was in the choir, and when my voice broke, I joined the bell ringers because there was a cry going out for more ringers, as there still is today, really. And along with a couple of other lads, joined up and went upstairs and started bell ringing. And I've been with it ever since, really. I started in 1946, just after the war, because that's when there was a shortage of ringers. And as I say, I've been with it ever since.
This is obviously such a significant event, the Platinum Jubilee. I can feel it, people from all sorts of generations can feel it. But when you were that young boy of around 20, 21, did you realise how significant a moment that coronation was, and what did it mean to the people around you?
Well, I think it was important to the nation, really. And immediately after the war, you see, that it was a pick-me-up for the country. And we felt as ringers that we should mark that occasion, and we've done so ever since, really. We just carried on that tradition.
You are probably the most experienced bell ringer in the country, certainly one of the most experienced Platinum Jubilee bell ringers that's going to be ringing today. How did you end up going Silver Jubilee, Golden Jubilee, Diamond Jubilee, and why did you want to do it? Was it a dedication to the Queen and the monarchy, or do you just love bell ringing?
Well, both, really. The very fact that I was continuing ringing meant I loved bell ringing, and as far as the royalty is concerned, I've always been a royalist, I suppose, yes. And we marked all the occasions here by ringing for special events like coronations and jubilees.
I think one of the things that we're talking about right now is because of the way that we look at the monarchy, maybe people aren't as connected. Maybe people at the moment aren't as connected to bell ringing. But why is it important to have bell ringing happening in places like this, in churchyards all around the country?
Well, it makes people think, and why are they ringing, what's it all about? And then they suddenly realise that there's Jubilee on, yeah. So that's why we do it, to let people know what's happening.
The Queen is celebrating a very special 70 years. You're 90 years old, and I know that you're celebrating your 91st birthday very shortly, in just a couple of weeks. Just one final question. Do you think that you'll ever stop bell ringing, or is it much like the Queen, you'll probably keep trooping on?
I'll keep trooping on, I suppose, yeah. I no intention of stopping, but you know, events catch up with one, don't they?
Cliff, we're not going anywhere. We're really excited to hear you start bell ringing at around 11 o'clock. Wherever you are in the country, just step outside and you'll hear those bells ringing. But that 11:30 service, that's the real big special one. I'm sure there'll be some beautiful music coming from that church later today.
Oh, love it. Will, thank you so much, and well done to Cliff.
I hope they're doing it in my village. I'm sure they are. Got lots of little villages around us with fantastic church spires.
I love hearing the bells.
Yeah,
so.
I do as well. There's so many of them aren't real bells anymore, you know, they're tape.
Oh, are they really?
Quite a few, unfortunately. But also quite a lot do have their proper bell ringers.
I've just got to say morning to Jim. Jim's been in touch to say we're having a street party in Balfour Close in Honiton this afternoon. Oh, as a tribute, I will play on my clarinet the national anthem. As I was the Queen's Director of Music on the Royal Yacht...
Wow!
I know that she likes it at the tempo of not too fast, not too slow.
Oh, isn't that interesting?
Oh, Jim.
What a lovely job to be the Queen's Director of Music on the Royal Yacht.
Well, I'm very pleased, Jim, that you're watching us here on GB News.
Jim, I'd love to... No, we've got to try and... Oh, I mean, I wonder what you do. I didn't know the Royal Yacht Britannia had its own Director of Music. Yeah. So did it have a permanent orchestra on board or a band of some sort?
I don't know.
Or was it just for special big deal occasions? Or
Maybe she just liked a little...
How lovely.
That's fabulous.
Instead of turning on the radio to listen to the music at night. So we'd get my director of music in and he could play something for us on his clarinet.
Oh,
I love that.
We might have to send a camera around your way.
Oh, I think we might have to, yeah.
Absolutely lovely. Anyway, look, we're going to take a short break. Back with more of your views in a moment, but we have got lots more to come, including the Singing Soldiers and their surprise #1 hit. But looking ahead to the weather, and the UK's looking showery across Northern Ireland, southwest Scotland, northwest England and North Wales this morning, brighter elsewhere.
By noon, much of the southwest of England will hold on to dry weather, although Cornwall and West Devon will have the best of the sunshine with more cloud.
At the southeast will be generally fine. There'll be some warm spells of hazy sunshine, lifting temperatures into the low 20s.
Whilst showers continue to affect northern parts of Wales, more southern areas should end the morning mostly dry, albeit with a fair amount of cloud around.
At the Midlands, we'll also see quite a bit of cloud. There'll be an increasing chance of 1 or 2 showers as well breaking out, I'm afraid to say. Nonetheless, it is going to stay pretty warm.
Inland parts of the northeast of England will also have a few showers, and although it will be drier and locally brighter towards the coast, there'll be a cool breeze blowing in off the North Sea.
Now, the far east and northeast of Scotland are going to be rather cloudy and cool. Southwestern areas are going to have showers. For central and northwestern areas, though, fine with some warm sunshine.
A few bright spells are likely across Northern Ireland, but there'll also be a scattering of showers, giving a rather changeable theme to the weather there.
So during the afternoon and early evening, showers continuing in the west. Elsewhere, mainly dry with some sunshine.
We are GB News.
We're right across this great nation.
On TV, on radio, on digital.
Absolutely everywhere.
We don't talk down to you.
We embrace all voices.
With honest and civilised conversation.
We're not part of the establishment.
We're one of you.
And we're only getting started.
Join us on GB News,
The People's Channel.
Britain's news channel.
Every morning from 6 o'clock, we'll wake you up with GB News Breakfast with all the stories you didn't know from the night before.
So whether it's serious news, entertainment or your own views from all over our great nation, we're here to kick off your day with a smile.
And the national media should be reflecting and reporting what's happening here.
You will notice the northwestern accents.
Whether you're with us on TV, radio or online, every morning, it's breakfast from 6 a.m. Hope you can join us.
Join us for Ministry of Offence, the comedy panel show that's just like the news, in that the left fights the right and it doesn't really seem to matter who wins. We cover the big stories. It was in fact a troop of baboons and not angry vegans.
I like that.
And the really important stories.
Fat naked cow gets stuck in swimming pool.
It's a headline in a lot of local newspapers. Yeah.
We're on the same team, Nick. Yeah, but I'm just helping you.
Join us for Ministry of Offence, Saturday nights, 8 o'clock on GB News.
I'm Dan Wootton. Join me Monday to Thursday from 9 to 11 for the feistiest and most fun news debate on TV, where free speech reigns. I'll bring you a sharp take on the day's biggest stories, bombshell newsmaker interviews, and A-list guests. And I guarantee you, no spin, no bias, no censorship, and no reason to go to bed. That's Dan Wootton Tonight, Monday to Thursdays from 9 on GB News.
Oh, well, good morning again. Lovely to be with you. It's, 9:25. I think you probably know by now that we are going overboard with the Queen's Platinum Jubilee. We are celebrating, hopefully all weekend. It's been so amazing. Yesterday was such a wonderful start to it. And we all know that, we're going to remember this day in history, in our own history, aren't we?
We will. It's something very special, and it's nice. Tell you what, it was lovely being down at the Palace yesterday. Not that I saw the Queen down there or anything else, but even...
No, your view was a bit obstructed, wasn't it, by the Queen Victoria statue and everything?
No.
Oh, no, you could see the palace.
We
direct.
had a view right onto the balcony.
Oh, lucky.
It was lovely. It was, but just at the moment when they just started putting I don't know what you call it, the sort of drapery out over the balcony, and you just think, I don't know, just somehow it just seems magical.
How long did you stay there?
Oh, well, I was there for 5 hours yesterday.
So what time did you actually knock off?
10 o'clock.
Wasn't it terribly tempting to just stay?
Stay. I know, but I was so tired.
Well, I'll
I
bet.
mean, that's like, so tired. Then I had to get a car back here to pick up my car.
Yeah, because
then
I was
drive an hour
watching
and a
you
half
and I was
home.
thinking if I was there, I think I'd have to stay
all
for the
day.
balcony moment
I
at
know.
least. Yeah.
But
And broadcasters all around you?
all around. I mean, they're just all around. I mean, it's like
I mean, not just British ones.
it's like a zoo.
Yeah.
To be honest, a zoo of cameras and broadcasters, and it's all. I mean, it's manic. It's absolutely crazy. But it's an experience. If you're a journalist, it's an experience being at that sort of thing.
Yeah.
But it was just nice to be so close to the palace, and to know everything.
And
that's
to be able
going
to see
on.
everything. Yeah.
Yeah, it's lovely.
Fantastic. Yeah. We were talking a bit earlier about what. Because the Queen obviously is pictured a lot in today's newspapers next to Prince Louis, who is her great-grandson. And we were saying, I wonder what he calls her, because one of our guests said she was called Gangan.
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 Apparently, is what she's known as.
Well, Katerina says, hi, Anne and Stephen. I'm called Mormor by my granddaughter, which is the Swedish name for a grandmother on the mother's side. It means mother's mother, Mormor. If it's
I
on the
see.
father's side, the grandmother is called Farmor, father's mother.
Oh, I see.
It's quite a clever way of knowing which grandmother you're talking about. That's really interesting. I
Well,
like
it
that.
makes more sense than poor Mandy Church. Morning, Mandy.
Why?
She says, I've recently become a grandma. Congratulations.
Well done.
And she's known as Panda.
Oh, well.
She's in Watch It in Somerset. So Panda. I don't know where that comes from, but it's quite cute, actually.
Oh, it's cute, yes. Well, pandas are lovely. Jan says, I love the show. It really brightens up the start of my day. Keep it going. As for what name I am called as a grandma, it's Cag, short for Caggy. My youngest granddaughter, Amber, now 12 years old, couldn't say Granny, so her version was Caggy. Even my son-in-law calls me by that name.
Oh, Caggy.
Yeah, because sometimes Granny is quite difficult to say, I think. That's why a lot of people use Nana, isn't it? And Val says, morning, Stephen and Anne, loving the show. Great to wake up yesterday and watch the start. All those lovely photos to accompany the national anthem, yes. My grandchildren call me Nanny Meow. As I inherited a white cat from my daughter Deborah, who moved to lovely Devon, my local grandchildren call the other Nannykins, the other Nana.
Nanny Meow and Nannykins.
Nannykins and Nanny Meow.
It's quite sweet.
You know exactly who you're talking about then?
Yeah, oh, it's quite sweet. I like all of that. It's affectionate, and that's the main thing.
Well, we love to hear from you, and that's why we like to call ourselves the People's Channel. So don't forget, there's still plenty of time to get in touch, and throughout the day, actually. GB Views at gbnews.uk.
Well, let's head right over to one of you lot. Peter Leach. Morning, Peter. It's great to have you on the show rather than just watching it this morning. How are you? Did you enjoy yesterday?
I certainly did, yes. It had a little family occasion. It was very nice.
Yes, exactly. What was your favourite bit?
Well, unfortunately, I missed the fly past. I think that would have been the favourite part.
Yeah. Yeah, well, it was something very special.
We'll try and get some pictures of the fly past so that you can actually watch it now. It was amazing.
You've met the Queen on a number of occasions, haven't you?
I actually was introduced and showed around display in 1981, which was a great honour, the Duke of Edinburgh as well. And I have seen her on another couple of occasions, been close to her. One at the garden party in the Silver Jubilee, and another when I was a schoolboy at Harrow County School on our way to a rugby practice down a country lane, and she was visiting Harrow School Farm, and her and the Duke just stopped and spoke to about 30 grubby little schoolboys with dirty knees, and we thoroughly enjoyed it. It was very nice. The security officer with her must have been having a fit, but there was no one else around, just the crowd.
And I mean, how did you find her then? So you've met with sort of various occasions, but how did you find her as a person? Was she daunting? Was it scary, or was she as nice as we're led to believe?
She was lovely. She was very kind, very considerate, asked very intelligent questions, both her and the Duke. Questions that I don't know whether I could have come up with in the short time that she was shown around. But I think the thing that struck me most, and I've heard other people talking about it, is how small she was.
Yeah, she's tiny. In fact, a lot of the royals are very, very tiny, aren't they? Her sister, Princess Margaret, was tiny, and her mum was too.
Yes. But she was a lovely lady. I was very, very honoured to have been able to show her around this display.
I'll bet. I gather you've got a picture to show us.
Yes, unfortunately, it's only on a tablet. So
Well,
I'll hold it
let's
up
have a look
and
if we
hope
can
you
see it. Oops.
Oh,
No, hang on. It's moved.
typical,
Yeah, the
isn't it?
picture slipped down.
Nothing ever goes right when you want
No.
it
Oh,
to.
it's live television for you, Peter.
Yeah. See if you
No,
can get
I'm
it back.
sorry, it's
gone.
No, it's a lovely photograph of the Queen, and one I treasure and have up on the wall, along with a picture of the Duke.
Oh, well, there must be absolutely lovely memories to have, Peter, and I'm glad you were able to celebrate yesterday. Have you got anything planned for the weekend?
No, most of our celebrations have actually been and gone. We had on Wednesday our local U3A. We had a dinner party, as it were, lunch party, and it was lovely. Everyone joined in. There's flags all over the square and around the house. It's once in a lifetime. Make the most of it.
It absolutely is once in a lifetime. It ain't going to ever happen again. No. It's lovely to talk to you this morning. Thanks very much indeed for joining us.
Well, it's been lovely talking to you too. Thank you very much for having me on.
Oh, our pleasure.
Brilliant.
Peter, thank you. Do you know, I love it when we get to... You meet people like Peter and the other guests we've had on this morning, and what just lovely people who are watching and listening this morning.
I think it's nice for everybody watching as well that you don't just have to watch. You can be a bit interactive and get in touch with us, and we might be able to talk to you on the telly, which is lovely.
That would be nice. Look, don't go anywhere. We've got lots more still to come, including a Pearly Queen live in the studio.
Oh, we couldn't have a Jubilee without a Pearly Queen.
No, very true. Don't go anywhere.
We are GB News.
We're right across this great nation.
On TV,
on radio, on digital.
Absolutely everywhere.
We don't talk down to you.
We embrace all voices.
With honest and civilised conversation.
We're not part of the establishment.
We're one of you.
And we're only getting started.
Join us on GB News,
The People's Channel.
Britain's news channel.
Every morning from 6 o'clock, we'll wake you up with GB News Breakfast with all the stories you didn't know from the night before.
So whether it's serious news, entertainment, or your own views from all over our great nation, we're here to kick off your day with a smile.
The national media should be reflecting and reporting what's happening here.
You will notice the northwestern accents.
Whether you're with us on TV, radio, or online, every morning, it's breakfast from 6 a.m. Hope you can join us.
Join us for Ministry of Offence, the comedy panel show that's just like the news, in that the left fights the right and it doesn't really seem to matter who wins. We cover the big stories. It was, in fact, a troop of baboons and not angry vegans.
I like that.
And the really important stories.
Fat naked cow gets stuck in swimming pool.
It's a headline in a lot of local newspapers. Yeah.
We're on the same team, Nick. Yeah, I'm just helping you.
Join us for Ministry of Offence, Saturday nights, 8 o'clock on GB News.
I'm Dan Wootton. Join me Monday to Thursday from 9 to 11 for the feistiest and most fun news debate on TV, where free speech reigns. I'll bring you a sharp take on the day's biggest stories, bombshell newsmaker interviews, and A-list guests. And I guarantee you, no spin, no bias, no censorship, and no reason to go to bed. That's Dan Wootton tonight, Monday to Thursdays from 9 on GB News.
That's interesting, of course, that yesterday, as these events always are so focused on the military. We know how important the military is to Her Majesty the Queen. They swear their allegiance to her, don't forget, and what they do is hugely important to her. So it's really fitting when members of the military want to sort of pay their own tribute in their own special way.
Yes, so let us introduce you to Captain Gary Chilton, Lance Corporal Ryan Idsey and Warrant Officer Richie Maddox, because they have collectively, and this is quite interesting given that we've just been celebrating 70 years of the monarch, they collectively have notched up 70 years of combined service, including tours of Afghanistan and Iraq.
Now, they're singing soldiers, we have to tell you. They've got a new single out called Her Majesty the Queen. It's a Platinum Jubilee tribute song, and it has shot to #1 in the iTunes classical chart.
It's charting above such distinguished performers as Ed Sheeran, Catherine Jenkins, the Royal Philharmonic Orchestra, and even the national anthem. Shall we take a listen?
The anchor of our nation, constant and dignified, through times of peace and serenity, through times of harsh reality.
Well, so I did it a bit abruptly there, but let's talk to the gents now. It's really good to see you all this morning, fellas. Captain Chilton, let's start with you. Congratulations. What's it like to be iTunes #1 in the classical chart?
It's fantastic, and thanks for having us on the show. Yeah, I think it just pays testimony to our wonderful Queen, and I think it's a song that we wanted to release not only for the veterans and the serving forces members, but also one for the nation. She's a remarkable lady, and she's been our boss now for the last, between us 70 years between us, and we couldn't think of a more fitting tribute than to actually sing a song for her Platinum Jubilee.
Yeah, obviously you must have been working on it for some time, so who wrote the song?
There was a guy named Adrian Munsey and Jeff Chegwin. They kind of came up with the idea. I know it'd been in the pipeline for quite some time, but obviously things have gone on over the last 2 years that we've just not been able to get down and do stuff. But yeah, it was a perfect opportunity really, and it was done over the space of 2 months maybe, around at that time. So yeah, it's all come together well, and I think it's probably one of our best songs, if I'm to be totally honest with you.
I mean, you're all big, tough fellas. Why is the Queen... Well, you are, you know.
Why is the Queen your boss?
Why is the Queen so important to you? Because all the soldiers I know are so utterly protective of her.
Well, the thing is, it's when we join up and we sign on the dotted line, we swear an oath of allegiance to Her Majesty. And she's our Colonel-in-Chief, she's our boss. And it's that connection we've got with her. That's why she's so special to us. That's why we wanted to release this song for her and for the nation to be able to celebrate her Platinum Jubilee.
Emotional song, actually, and I can hear the emotion in your voice just talking about her. There is that bond, isn't there?
Yeah, there is, and we wanted to go a little bit further as well. When we sort of brought the song out, we wanted to recognise some of the work that the royal family have done, and we thought the most appropriate charity to donate to from the single would be the Duke of Edinburgh's award in memory of the Queen's late husband, and all the remarkable work that charity does for the young generations of this country, this great nation, and that's what we thought that would be most appropriate to do that.
Yeah, I mean, look, between you've done tours of Iraq and Afghanistan. I mean, it's been no plain sailing for you fellas, has it?
But it's not exactly been a walk in the park, like.
No.
Yeah, but with Gary and Richie as well being the core of our music, they do their part as well. Stretcher bearers, looking after the wounded, stuff like this. I was frontline myself, so I kind of seen a bit as well. But I think with the music side of things, it kind of it helps with the release basically of stuff that we've seen, if I'm totally honest with you. So not only with a song that we can kind of show our appreciation to the Queen, is for the guys to get behind as well. Not just soldiers and veterans, but for the nation, basically. We want the nation to get behind this song.
Stream for the Queen.
Stream for the Queen.
How long have you been singing for the Queen? I mean, this isn't your first success, is it?
No.
Well, it was 2009. We kind of we released a song called "Coming Home" for the veterans and stuff. And 14 stone later, here we are again with another song.
Hey, well, look, fellas, best of luck with this. I hope it continues to keep charting very, very well. It's really good to talk to you. I hope it raises plenty of money as well. Thank you very much indeed.
And thanks for having us on the show. Thank you very much. Cheers.
Oh, no, it's lovely to have you. Thank you very much.
Oh, I tell you, they're just so... I tell you what's interesting, when you're saying, you know, we've seen some awful things.
Yeah.
And someone we've been following, Paul Minter, who's running around the country at the moment, he's a veteran, running around the entire coastline of the UK and Northern Ireland, raising money for Head Up, which is a charity which helps the mental health of soldiers and veterans, because they see some pretty awful things. And we need to be aware of that, don't we? And support that work as well, I think.
And as we know, it's interesting as well, talking about singing to relieve stress. We know now the power of singing, don't we? There have been so many choirs, and a lot of military choirs, that have been set up almost literally to do that, and of having a profound effect on the mental health of people. So, yeah, singing's brilliant.
Yes.
But it's lovely to hear serving soldiers doing it so successfully, isn't it?
Needs to be.
OK, well, I suppose...
We need to rename the Military Wives Choir, though.
Why?
Because I want to join it.
Oh, I see.
And I'm not
of course.
I'm not a wife.
Yeah.
Well,
military spouse.
Military
spouse isn't
choir.
such a nice word, is it?
Maybe I can just stand in the background.
Yeah. No, we have to do more than that. We'll have to rename Military Wives Choir. It'd be good fun. Can you sing?
Yeah.
No, good. Right. Why don't you?
I'll prove it in a minute.
Oh, no.
Oh, OK. Right.
OK, I suppose today is day 2 of the Jubilee celebrations, with plenty more to come. And as we've heard, although there's this big service in St Paul's today, the Queen herself has decided not to join in today because she has experienced what the palace are calling some discomfort. Why don't they just say she's got a bad back or her back's killing her?
Yeah, she's exhausted.
I'll bet you that's what, yeah. I bet that's what it is.
But of course, the show must go on. Although the Queen cannot be replaced, we are in the presence of a royalty of a different kind this morning. Nicola, the Pearly Queen of Welwyn Garden City. Good morning to you.
Good morning, and don't you look magnificent?
Thank you.
Fabulous. It's such an old tradition.
That's right.
Isn't it? Talk us through what being a Pearly Queen is and what it means.
For me, it's been handed down through the generations, and it's the honour of being able to carry that tradition on through London. It was handed down to me by my nan, and I've now got my niece who's coming out with me as well.
Oh, brilliant. So your nan was a Pearly Queen?
That's correct, yes.
Yeah. Oh, what did you call her? Because we've been talking about what you call nans. She was your nan?
Yeah.
She was Nan, OK.
Nannery.
Yeah, but she was a Pearly... And did she wear this, or do you make your own outfit?
The tradition is that all the adults have to make their own outfits, although I'm actually wearing her jacket today. It's a little bit snug, because I'm actually in the middle of making a new one myself, so... it wasn't ready in time.
We do have, luckily, viewers all over the world who might not quite understand what a Pearly Queen is.
OK, so it's an old London tradition that dates back to 1875 with a young guy called Henry Croft. He's our founder, and he was living in a workhouse, and when he left there, he wanted to give back to the children that he lived with. So he befriended some of the local costermongers, and then became the different Pearly families of the different boroughs of London. But where it's changed a bit over the years, you've got more people involved now. So.
And is it always pearly buttons?
It is, yes, that's the tradition.
Yeah.
You have to have the pearl shell buttons.
Oh, I see.
No plastic for us.
I tell you what, though, doesn't it just look amazing? And
Thank you.
And because it's timeless, you know, it's very similar to what would have been worn originally, I guess.
Yep, that's right. And we stick with the tradition of the ostrich feathers in the ladies' hat that were of the time.
Magnificent, yeah. So do you have any things you have to do? Do you have any duties of being a Pearly Queen?
We've got certain events throughout the year that we attend as Pearlies all together. We have our meetings once a month. We have our collecting weekends in Covent Garden or various different places. We'll then have our other bits and pieces that come in personally as well. So, yeah, whereas this weekend you can tell we're quite busy.
Yes,
so what are you doing?
Yesterday we were in Oxford Street, and then we were in Trafalgar Square, so we were lucky enough to be there when the planes flew over.
Oh, wow, what was it like?
That was an amazing atmosphere. You're never going to see that again. No. And then afterwards we did the proclamation, so that was read out to commemorate the beacon lighting later in the day. So we did that.
Is that the same as a town crier, or is that different?
Similar? Yes. I know there was town criers all over the country doing
Yes.
it, but we did Trafalgar Square.
Oh, wow.
So, yes.
So I bet lots of people are always asking you to stop and have selfies.
Oh, if you want to get somewhere, you need to have a couple of hours advance.
Yeah.
Because the time
So
you try and get up the road, yeah.
Try walking down the Mall yesterday, and you would never have got to the other end, would
Well,
you?
it took us about an hour to get from Trafalgar Square just up the road. So
wow.
Yeah.
I'll tell you what, we've been talking about, I mean, obviously how this has been this is a historic weekend, and the Queen symbolises so much of our history.
Yeah.
Pearly kings and queens are sort of quintessentially English,
Yeah.
aren't they? I mean, it is just this
Yeah.
most incredible bit of history. You're like a piece of living history.
But it's one of the oldest London traditions, so...
And you say you inherited it from your nan,
Yeah.
and you've got your niece interested in it now.
Yes.
So there is obviously a feeling, we've been talking about the Queen doing this, a feeling of family,
Yeah.
and also of keeping the tradition going.
That's correct, yeah. So she was actually talking to me yesterday, my niece, about when her children are going to do it, and things like that. I was like, oh, you're a bit keen. You're only 8.
It's a heritage, isn't it? And
yeah.
It's a proud heritage.
So she's really proud, and yesterday she went home buzzing. She absolutely loved it.
Oh, God.
So, yeah.
I've got to ask, where do you source the buttons? Because some of them are beautiful. Some of your
I mean,
nan's buttons
I'm
are
lucky
beautiful.
enough that my nan had thousands of buttons, but we'll get them donated to us from various different button societies, things like that. But we can also purchase them from abroad. So, yeah.
No, beautiful.
Well, some of them are really old, you can tell, and some of them are quite thick. You know, they're real high quality stuff.
I've actually taken some of the antique ones off because when you're in the crowd, you lose so many buttons. And you know, if we're all together, no, you actually lose them getting caught on people
Oh, I
and
see. Yeah.
bags, things like
Yeah.
that. So I've taken them off and I leave them at home
Yes.
now.
So that's the working outfit.
Yes.
Yeah, so you're constantly in repair mode.
Correct, yeah.
Oh, blimey.
And you can guarantee that if there's a group of us, there'll be a button on the floor. Someone goes, someone's lost a button, and we're all like, oh, who is it?
And if you being a pearly queen, does that mean there's a pearly king? Or
I
isn't
can
it just
have.
that
I haven't
always?
got one at the moment. So
You're looking for one.
well, if there's offers.
Oh, that's the way. They saw their own.
Yeah, they've got to make their own suits.
Yeah, they've got to do their own. Yes.
They see my sewing, they're definitely going to want to make their own.
Well, look, it's really good to see you this morning. Thank
you.
you very
Thank
much
you.
indeed.
Thank you very much.
Oh, love it.
As we celebrate Her Majesty on the Platinum Jubilee, former members of the Royal Yacht Britannia crew have returned to the ship to share their stories as part of the Queen's Jubilee celebrations.
Yeah, 65 of the yachties have returned to their normal duties on board to help restore the vessel, which is based in Leith in Edinburgh. And David Donaldson has been to have a look.
All hands on deck as the Britannia undergoes some finishing touches. These people are all former crew members, giving up their time to help maintain the ship. Andy Fletcher is the secretary of the Association of Royal Yachtsmen.
We thought that as an association it would be nice to come and relive our memories, chat to some of the visitors, and also give them a bit of a hand to do some of the jobs which the 17 guys who look after her now can't necessarily get done all the time. So it's a special thing once a year. We haven't been able to come up here since COVID, so we're 3 years late now. And especially for the Platinum anniversary, this is just a really special week.
Many of the crew spent years aboard the ship, travelling around the world, looking after the royal family. One of them is Steward William French. He was even called by his nickname by the Duke of Edinburgh.
Oh, it's a huge honour to be on board the Britannia and to serve Her Majesty herself. That's what we all dream of in our life. And yes, I had that lucky opportunity and I took it in my stride, and it got better and better because the more they got to know you, you got called by your first name or my nickname at the time.
What was your nickname at the time?
Froggy. Yeah, Duke of Edinburgh often called me Froggy as he walked past.
That must have made your day.
Oh, yeah, you just take it in your stride and a little smile. And, you know, when you called, it was, Froggy, where are you? You know, or Froggy, what are you doing now?
This is where Froggy would have served food and drinks to the royal family, and upstairs in a different deck are the sleeping quarters, including the Queen's bedroom. While the royals and guests were enjoying themselves down in the engine room, the crew were hard at work. But engineer David Rushforth says it was always appreciated.
Things that impressed me was how thoughtful the royal family were for the crew of this ship. and they always made a point of thanking us before they departed. And that means a lot, doesn't it? They didn't have to do that.
Ben Bentley was a radio operator and remembers being invited to Windsor Castle when the yacht was 60 years old.
All come up to Windsor Castle into the Great Hall to have pre-dinner drinks. And then the family, the Queen, Duke of Edinburgh, Prince Charles, they all mingled round, talked to the whole ship's company that were there and the families.
The Royal Yacht Britannia was finally decommissioned in 1997, a move which saw the Queen shed a tear. But a replacement is planned, which could cost £250 million and could be in service in the next 3 or 4 years. While Britannia may not sail anymore, the ship clearly has a special place in Her Majesty's heart and holds memories of relaxing trips around the world with her family. David Donaldson, GB News.
That's wonderful. And we were hearing, weren't we, from the person who was the former director of music on the Royal Yacht Britannia. We want to know more.
He's a clarinetist. Now, there are some perils working here. Stephanie Tetchy, when she comes in the studio, she always insists she's very, very touchy-feely. I always get a big hug and a kiss. She's smeared makeup all over my glasses, all over my nose.
Yeah. You had a red nose a minute ago.
Honestly, anyway, she's here now. Half your makeup
I
missing.
love to leave my presents wherever I go.
Do.
This is so special. Like, the Queen is right behind me.
Yeah.
I'm just loving the whole studio. Oh, from one Queen to another Queen. Love
it. Fabulous, isn't it? Now, I tell you what, we're all celebrating, of course, for the Queen.
Are.
Kim Kardashian, though, is not.
Oh, gosh. So the whole week, everyone's been like, why is Kim Kardashian in London with her boyfriend, Pete Davidson? Are they here for the Jubilee celebrations? So yesterday, we had it confirmed that she actually wanted to attend the party tomorrow, which is happening at the Palace, the Platinum Party by the BBC. And this is Kim Kardashian. She gets into everywhere. But unfortunately, the Palace have rejected her attempt to attend the party tomorrow. So has the BBC. And it's quite shocking because, you know, you think this is one of the most famous people in the world and she wants to come be a part of the Queen's celebration, but
But basically, they just jumped on a plane and thought, if we turn up, they will let us in.
Totally, because...
Well, that's the world she comes from, isn't it?
Who says no to Kim Kardashian and who has said no? But on this occasion, it was a no, and she cannot come to the party tomorrow. And I can understand why she wants to come tomorrow, because it is going to be a big affair. You've got most of the actors, celebrities who are going to be performing tomorrow. We've got Nile Rodgers, we've got Elton John, Queen. There was like 22,000 tickets for it. It's going to be aired on TV tomorrow. So I thought Kim tried to chance it, but it didn't go to plan for
You'd
her.
think she'd have just got one of her agents to sort of try and get her a ticket, and once they were refused, not to come, but to put themselves through the embarrassment of being turned away isn't very good, is it?
Not at all. And the thing is, they did try to get the VIP ticket, didn't happen, and then she was so desperate to get in, she said she would try a normal ticket.
Oh, what, with us?
Yeah,
with
us mere mortals.
Oh, good
but
grief.
even that was a no. All the tickets have been sold out. They've been allocated for months. And so, poor Kim, it's a no this time.
Yeah, it's a no from us. Now, Amber Heard's got to fork out $10 million to Johnny Depp.
I've been so glad that this case is over. I was, you know, for the past 6 weeks, it's all we've been talking about. But this is the case that can potentially keep on giving, because now Amber has said that she's going to appeal the case. But also, her lawyer came out yesterday and said that Amber hasn't got the money to pay Johnny.
She hasn't.
She hasn't got the money to pay him $8 million.
And even if she appeals, apparently she's got to pay during the appeal. She's got to pay first.
So it doesn't make sense for her to appeal, but her lawyer has been quite angry because she was basically saying this was a trial by social media, because the case was live streamed online, and they're saying all the memes that were generated from social media, it must have had some influence on the decision. So they feel like it's been very unfair what's happened in this case. But at the end of the day, Amber still owns Johnny $8 million, but I don't know where she's going to get that money from. And, you know, there's been a lot of talks where maybe this could be the end of Amber's career in Hollywood, because I think, you know, during this case, we thought, you know, she would come out winning and looking good, but it's done the opposite. And Johnny's fans have just gone to town, social media, they're campaigning for her to be dropped from various roles. So this is not good at all.
No, we shall see. We're talking about tomorrow night, the concert, which is going to be spectacular. We are meant to be seeing Elton John, but there's been some concerns about his mobility.
OK, Elton John's 75 years old. He's given us the best of himself over the past 5 decades. This week, he was pictured in a wheelchair in Germany. He was going to an airport and his team put him in a wheelchair because they said the walk is quite long to the plane. But it just sent the rumour mill to just going a bit crazy with people saying that, is he actually going to be able to perform on Saturday? Is he in good condition? So Elton John came out yesterday and he said, you know what, despite appearances, I'm good and ready to perform at the Platinum Jubilee.
Well, again, why didn't his people get in one of those airport buggies?
I don't know.
You know, they go beep, beep, beep past you and you think, oh, I wish I'd had one of those.
Yeah.
You would have thought Elton John would have been able to get one, even if he did feel a bit frail.
And they could have kept that away from the public glare because, you know, people are going to talk. They've been talking about Elton John because he hasn't had the best health over the past few years. So to see him in a wheelchair like that, people are like, is this man fit to perform? And he's like, I'm still standing and I'm going to be performing.
Love it.
He's like,
Nicely done.
he's like, I
Nicely
am
done.
going to be performing and he's good to go. So,
He'll,
you know, just need to cut him some slack. When
It'll be amazing. Stephanie, thank you.
Always
It's
a
been
pleasure.
See you tomorrow.
Of course.
Excellent.
I wonder what we'll be talking about tomorrow.
I wonder. But it'll be fun, whatever it is. That's it from us. We will see you tomorrow morning, but don't go anywhere. Patrick's here with To The Point in just a moment. We're looking ahead to the weather, and the UK's looking showery across Northern Ireland, southwest Scotland, northwest England and North Wales this morning, brighter elsewhere.
By noon, much of the southwest of England will hold on to dry weather, although Cornwall and West Devon will have the best of the sunshine with more cloud.
At the southeast will be generally fine. There'll be some warm spells of hazy sunshine, lifting temperatures into the low 20s.
Whilst showers continue to affect northern parts of Wales, more southern areas should end the morning mostly dry, albeit with a fair amount of cloud around.
At the Midlands, we'll also see quite a bit of cloud. There'll be an increasing chance of 1 or 2 showers as well breaking out, I'm afraid to say. Nonetheless, it is going to stay pretty warm.
Inland